It is my pleasure to welcome on the dais our participants, Sri Apurv Mishal, Fool.co, Sri Abhishek Ravindranath, Lou Cafe, Sri Abhudaya Saxena, Arav Unmanned Systems, Abhishek Raju, Satshire, Hari Shankar, Agnes Waste Management, and Sri Mayank Midha, Garv Toilet. They will be speaking to Sri Anant Arvamudam, Sector Lead Climate Action of Wilgrow Innovations Foundation. Over to you, Mr. Anant.
Yeah, just shift the name tag. Great. Good afternoon, everyone. I know you've just come back after a delicious lunch, but I'm sure that must have stimulated your brain cells, and you must be looking forward eagerly to this session because we've got a really good set of panelists here. Today, in today's session, we are really going to talk about how to build a startup. Firstly, just building a startup, and then focusing on within that on the waste management space and how how operations can be scaled up, how your business can be scaled up in this space, right? So maybe I'll request the participants here, my panelists, to do a quick round of self-introduction. I'll just start with myself. I'm Anant Aravamudan. I head the climate action team at Wilgrow. Wilgrow is India's oldest and largest social enterprise incubator. We do a lot of work in the climate action space, and we are very, very pleased to be associated with the Swachhata Startup Conclave. Yes, Abhishek.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Abhishek. I'm one of the founders of a company called Satshire. We are based out of Bangalore. We are a geospatial decision intelligence company. We work primarily in the areas of agriculture and infrastructure. We've also done a little bit of work in waste management. So that's about me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Abhishek. Yeah, hi. My name is Abhudaya Saxena. I head the data processing and deliveries at Arav Unmanned Systems. It's a drone startup. We started around 2013, and since then we have been delivering end-to-end drone solutions across the country. Our main sectors are infra, agri, irrigation, urban, rural mapping, and a couple of other associated activities. Okay, thanks.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Abhishek Nath. I represent a company called Lou Cafe, a very different name altogether. It's basically a loo and a cafe together. It's one of the fastest growing toilet networks in the country. So we've started this in 2018, and with 365 plus Lou Cafes across the country. We build, manage, and maintain toilets from the time of inception to at least 15 years from the time it's been installed.
Thank you. Hi, Apurva here. I head marketing and sales at Fool.co. We essentially upcycle temple flower waste into consumer products like incense sticks, cones, and we've also found a way in which this same raw material, waste flowers and farm waste, can be upcycled to animal-free, completely vegan leather. Also, we've found a way of making fluorofoam, which is a replacement to styrofoam from the same raw material. In the process, we also employ women from the marginalized sections of the society, and we are based out of Kanpur. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hari Shankar, and I'm a founder of Agnes Waste Management. Agnes Waste Management is majorly into rapid composting. And since last 4 years, we have been doing work with different government organizations in UP and Bihar. And so we are majorly into converting the major chunk of waste, that is organic waste, into manure in just 10 to 15 days. And it started from a lab. I came from the background of IIT Kanpur itself, and from the research it came to the field, and now we are scaling it up.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us here. I'm Mayank Midha. I am the CEO and co-founder of Garf Toilets. We are a smart sanitation solutions company. And we were the first ones to introduce IoT-enabled toilets across India back in 2014-15. And we've been invested by Wilgrow and through the Invent program and IIT Kanpur as well. We've been able to install more than 2,100 toilets across 12 states.
Recording in progress.
More than 200,000 people use our services every day. And we also operate and maintain various assets that we build up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for the introduction. I'm going to ask each of you now to speak a little bit about your journey. And remember, this is for the benefit of a lot of the other entrepreneurs whom we have here who have been working in the waste sector, who are at various stages, all the way from prototype to fairly advanced products and business models. But I think they would be very interested in understanding your journey from the time or how you came across this idea and how you decided to work in this space to, from then to where you are now. How did you overcome some of the major obstacles and so on? Maybe you can take about 5 to 7 minutes each to speak about it. I know some of the startups here are not only in the waste space, but I also know that the technologies that you're working with are very relevant to this space. So maybe you can touch upon that aspect as well. So why don't we start with you, Abhishek?
Sure. Thank you. My startup journey started about 10 years ago in the space industry. Today, in fact, 2 days from now, my company, SatSure, will be 5 years old. So we've gone through a lot of experiences, ups and downs. When we started, it was 4 of us, 4 co-founders that came together to solve a problem. All of us came from the space industry. 3 of my co-founders went to IIST, which is ISRO's Space Technology Institute. They also had brief stints at ISRO working on different projects. So they came from that background. I came from the private space industry. Prior to SatSure, I was running another space startup in India. So that is the background that we all came from. When I was looking at, when we were obviously building hardware and satellites and things like that, but then that was never satisfying me personally. I wanted to look at what problems can space technology be used to solve on the ground. One of the problems that we were commonly passionate to solve was the problem of financial inclusion. How can we enable farmers, people in rural areas, people who are unbanked, how can we enable better access to finance? That was one of the problems that we were all excited about. So we looked at how can we use space tech, how can we use imagery from satellites, how can we use all this data that is available. ISRO has got so many satellites. Globally, different space agencies have satellites that are open access, where anyone can use those data to create insights. How can we use that to solve local problems in India? That was the starting point of our journey. We built a company out of Bangalore. We soon became global. We were incorporated in Switzerland, in UK, and in quite a few places. We started working on small projects. We supported the National Crop Forecasting Center here in Delhi in doing various kinds of assessments on crop productivity and things like that. So we were here and there. In fact, for the first 4.5 years of our existence, we were completely bootstrapped. We didn't raise capital because it was a very difficult story to tell upfront. Some of the connections that we were trying to make were not obvious. So we had to show and prove product market fit before we could, convince customers to take our services, and based on that, for investors to be interested in us. So we spent the majority of our time building solutions for banks and insurance companies to enable access to protection in the form of insurance, and access to loans in the form of farm loans. So today, we work with almost all the major banks in India, private and public. We work with almost all the major insurance and reinsurance companies globally with respect to crop insurance programs. And since then, we have pivoted and we continue to grow in areas of infrastructure and aviation. So this is, in a nutshell, how we've come about. Through this journey, there were many challenges, starting with capital, right? If you're a young startup, you're building a team, you're building products, you're going to market, you need capital. It is, I can tell you from my experience that it is definitely possible to build a bootstrapped company, build products that you can take to market and sell.
Hello, hello.
So raising funding
Hi.
is not the only way to do it to start off. If you had access to capital, if
Grant,
you had angel
hello,
investors backing you, that's great,
आवाज आ रही
because
है?
that will obviously accelerate your path to market. But if not, that's not the only way to do it. You can certainly build a
Hello,
bootstrap
hello.
company. Today,
Mic
in
test.
fact, we were at the right place at the right time. We were in India where there were lots of problems that we could solve. And when we did start the company, it was, that's when also the Startup India program was launched. That actually opened up a lot of doors for us, for our company. We were able to work with various state government and central government agencies because we were recognized as an entity that governments could work with. Before, through, competitive tendering programs and the barriers to entry was very high before the Startup India program was launched. So the Startup India program really opened a lot of access for us, market access. And because startups were recognized as entities that various governments could work with, and since the governments were also looking for innovative solutions, we saw that most ministries, most government agencies were launching challenges. One of the we submitted our proposals to quite a few challenges. We won quite a few of them. The most recent one that we were very successful with was with the Airport Authority of India. We were able to build an airspace management system in collaboration with AAI. And today, I'm very happy to say that it's one of the 3 such systems available in the world, which makes India completely self-sufficient and self-reliant with a homegrown technology for airspace management. So that's just one example. We've participated in similar challenges in agriculture, in agroforestry, water management, and so on and so forth. And these are opportunities that we could not have had if not for some of these progressive policies of the government. So we are very thankful for the government for enabling that for us. And yeah, that's where we are today.
A little bit on the waste management space.
Sure. We generate a lot of land use, land classification maps, using satellite imagery at a very large scale. So we are able to look at things like, dumping grounds, water bodies, receding water bodies, waste management in general, another solution that we are working on is detection of methane using satellites to basically determine waste hotspots. So in fact, today, all these data sets are available as an open innovation platform. It's called Satshore Sparta. I believe there are lots of startups here. You're free to use this platform because it's open. It's an open platform, and you can build applications on top of that. So we've hosted all these data sets and made available for anyone to build applications on top of.
Thank you so much. You can pass.
Thank you. So like I mentioned, our startup is called Ara One-Man Systems. We are a drone startup. We started our journey at IIT Kanpur in 2013. We were incubated there for a couple of years, then we moved to Bangalore. So we are also based out of Bangalore. At that time, the drones that were used in the market actually were not for civilian use. Mostly they were recreational drones, or they were drones used for surveillance by the defense, or you can say purely defense-based applications. So we were the first ones who thought that, okay, well, let's use drones for surveying and mapping applications here in India. We brought some key technologies. We developed some key technologies such as PPK, terrain following, all these things before anyone. And we started manufacturing drones here in India itself. Then very soon we realized that only manufacturing the drones will not solve the purpose, because there is a lot of other activities which are associated with flying, capturing data, analyzing the data, processing the data, and then delivery. So then gradually we became an end-to-end drone solutions provider. So now we have our own design, our own manufacturing, our own services to various government and private agencies. And then we also analyze a lot of data when we provide the entire solution of 2D and 3D data analytics on a web-hosted platform, so that it becomes easier for anyone working on the data to visualize whatever we want them to visualize in the way that we would like them to visualize, right? Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to handle this kind of data. When it comes to the solutions, we work on mostly very, very scalable kind of applications. One of the major projects that we have, or the kind of projects that we have, is right now in rural mapping. We are one of the biggest suppliers of drones for this Swamitva scheme, where the government is mapping the entire 6.5 lakh villages of the country for updating of the land records, because all these areas were not mentioned in any of the records, and even if, let's say, someone owned a property in these habitation areas, they would not have the property cards. So through use of drones, through use of very high resolution imagery, these property cards are being disbursed to the entire population, and this, again, based on that, people become more financially, you can say, stable. They can secure loans based on the information about their properties and everything. So as of today, I think about 25,000 villages have already been mapped by us. Apart from that, we are working in the mining industry, which is, again, highly dynamic. There are changes in the mines, stockyards, all these things. And drones are in continuous use across these sectors, where the drones are flown on a daily basis sometimes, or a weekly basis. The data is collected, volumetric estimates are done. Any pilferage, if it's there, if someone is, let's say, scooping out the material, we get to know very early, and we can stop that theft in the mines also. And the drones are also used for a lot of safety applications, to understand whether things are being managed in a safe way or not, whether compliance is being followed, and the data is then submitted to various government bodies. The third sector I would like to talk about is the irrigation sector. Since the drone application provides us a 3D data, it becomes very easy for us to deliver very high resolution topographic maps, contours, terrain models, and all these things, which helps water resource departments or watershed, companies who work in the watershed sector, to have a very good understanding of the terrain, so that watershed activities can take place. Or let's say if there's a micro irrigation project to be implemented in a particular command area, the same data can be used for full design DPR studies of the area, and then the same drones can then be used for monitoring the construction progress and other activities in the entire area. So there's a myth that drones can be used for only small applications or small areas. That is untrue. The drones that we have today, a single drone can map up to 20 square kilometers in a day, and that is about 2,000 hectares per day. And I think the single biggest contiguous area that we have mapped is about 1,500 square kilometers. So it's a huge area, when it comes to mapping applications, mapping activities and processing and delivering all the data. Apart from that, this 3D data is also used for heritage mapping. It's also used for brownfield studies or greenfield studies for upcoming infra projects, upcoming plants across mines, across various other sectors. We have also worked for, we have done a brief POC for the Swachh Bharat mission also, where we had mapped a ward of a particular area, and also we had mapped a landfill area for delivering two distinct kind of outputs. So for the ward area, we were able to identify the waste dumping sites which were missed out by field surveys or by people just going and traveling on the bike or visually trying to identify where the waste have been dumped. And since the resolution that I'm talking about is 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter, we were also able to identify what kind of waste product is there. Right, if it's a domestic waste or a building construction waste, and if there is a heap, then we can also measure the volume of the heap. So it becomes easier for us to estimate that how much effort will it take to actually move the rate or clear the area basically, right? For the landfill also, the main application was a 3D application where we were able to identify the boundaries of the entire area. We were able to also compute the volume of the entire landfill site, which was a pain if it had to be done through traditional approach. So again, a lot of these activities can be done. We can also study the slopes. We can tell whether the slopes are stable or not, because there have been instances of slope failure in these landfill dumps. So all those activities can be done from the same data. We revolve a lot around the data. That's why I'm just repeating myself here. But yeah, we started our journey from a very different approach, but we find our applications in various fields. So maybe I'll stop here. Thank you.
So on a lighter note, this afternoon, next time I get a pizza home, I should call you and check if it's through. All right. So I represent a company called Lou Cafe. I'm a corporate guy who's turned myself into an entrepreneur in 2018, having spent 20 plus years at the corporate in a leadership roles. The biggest pain area for most of my job time during facility management was toilets. So we started thinking, I left this nice, cushy managing director's job with a large corporate, and then said, we'll start up a new company with a few colleagues of mine. So I'm going to keep it very simple and light. Anybody wants to ask me any questions with the moderator's permissions can do so. So we started this journey, and the first thing which came up to my mind was that let's build something which is different, something which could be utility for public, and we started thinking. The things which started inspiring me a lot was a Lego, which kids generally play at toy shops. You get Legos around. So we said we'll build something in a space which was not really customized or not really organized, something like what Amul did years ago. It was an industry which was totally unorganized, and we wanted to get into an industry which was unorganized at large, toilets. Sulabh was the only name which we could hear over years since the time I've actually grown up. Anytime I wanted to go use a public toilet, or any one of us has ever used a public toilet, was always a Sulabh. So we said we'll build something around the toilet space. And the first thing came up to our mind was revenue, sustainability. That's how all of us think. I'm sure all the startups sitting in this room also think around revenue, sustainability, money. Where do I get the money from? These are the first questions which actually start coming into any one of our minds. So we started thinking about it. We came up with this concept called Lou Cafe. Lou and a cafe. Just think about it. Close your eyes and you'll say, why will I go to have a coffee to a Lou? That's what the first question really comes into anybody's mind. And that's what happened with us as well. So when I came with this idea, went back to my team on the drawing board and said, listen guys, we're going to build a toilet which is going to have a loo and a cafe. My team looked up to me and said, are you in your senses? What are you talking about? Are you going to build a toilet with a loo with a cafe? It's not really going to work. We said, we brainstormed, we spent a lot of time together, and we said, yes, we are going to do this. It's going to be more like a Lego, where you could play around with the entire concept. We thought about building it in a shipping container. We took a shipping container, we cut it into half, and we said we'll have a toilets around the space of the shipping container with a cafe in front. It was about to redefine an entire industry which was totally unorganized, people not really into the entire subject of public toilet and sanitation. So we started talking about it. The second thing, where do you get the money from? We are all corporates who've just left our corporate jobs and came into this entire organization. And we walked up to several people across talking about and very happy believing in this idea, saying that we are going to build a toilet with a cafe. People looked up to us in a very strange manner and said, guys, what are you really talking? You really want investments for something which is a toilet and a cafe? Is it really going to work? We tried convincing them. We told them, you go into your house, you've got a toilet in your bedroom. No real estate guy can really sell an apartment which does not have a toilet in a room. We did all the combinations possible. Nobody believed in us. Finally, we got an opportunity to build one in Hyderabad. And I remember I was given what, 48 to 58 hours, saying that, okay, this is the space, go build it up. And I walk up to the site, and you've got a small little guy making some Chinese kind of food on the street, and said, this is your space, you're going to revamp this space and build this toilet up here. We said, okay. And that's where your belief of a startup comes in. That's where the maverick of a startup comes into place. So we went up there and we said, we are going to do it. So we put up all our thoughts together because we were already working on it. We put the first structure down on the ground with fabulous toilets. Trust me, they were better than a 5-star. The toilets were working, the cafe was working, and as a startup, you always get inspired by small little motivations which happen. The first day of inauguration, I still remember, there was inauguration happening down the road, and the minister of the state came across to us, Shri KTRG, and he actually praised us to what we did. We got an opportunity to build around 300 plus in Hyderabad, and that's where the story started off. We started walking the journey. We got an opportunity to meet our Honorable Prime Minister, a lot of support from Swachh Bharat team in Delhi. A lot of things started happening, and slowly and steadily, things started taking shape. Today, we are 360 plus Lou Cafes in a span of 4 years now, 2018 onwards. 700 plus people working for us, 100 plus entrepreneurs incubated with us. We've converted 75 street hawkers to start using mini Lou Cafes, which we call it, and have given them livelihoods. Their families love us. In fact, I've spent time with their families, gone across to their house because they've actually built a livelihood. I'm sure all of you, when you walk across the streets, you must have stopped down having a small cutting chai on the roads. So those guys are illegitimate spaces on the street. They don't have space. So what we did is we built an 8x8 kind of a counter, and we said, okay, fine, these are legitimate spaces. We'll train you, we'll help you, we'll manage and support you to manage and clean these washrooms. But you have to ensure that you sell quality stuff. We'll help you with it and manage the toilets as well. So it redefined the entire sector of street hawking into managing toilets as well as running this own space. Things started changing. We've in fact released 2 books now. One is called the Lou Cafe Toilet Tales 1 and 2, which talks about all these journeys and aspects. I also believe a lot with what Abhishek said. It's not about raising money, it's about the belief which you have in yourself. I have not raised a single rupee till date, and today we are paying around 1,000 plus employees in our organization month on month, and I'm very happy to say this, even despite COVID, we paid every single employee for last 4 years. So that's what happens, things change. Things change, it's the belief, it's the maverick, it's the self-confidence which you have, and it's not been a simple journey. There are critics, and the critics are the best part of it. Because till the time people don't criticize you for what you're doing, that means you're not doing something good and something great. It's not going to happen. So let the criticism come in. Startups should never get worried about criticism, and the best thing and the most important thing I would request all the startups here is, Lou Cafe is an open API in the technology term, because that's what people understand today. Play around with it, come across, come with us, support us, or we'll support you. You can use technologies in it. In fact, we are incubating a young startup which is converting collected urine into ammonium sulfate, and that's going to be sold. So there is a lot of combinations and permutations. In fact, I was telling him, in case you want to open a retail space, we've got space in Lou Cafes. Come across, take us place, start it. So anybody wants to do anything in terms of waste management, plastic recycle, whatever it is, we've got space. We are building some structures up. You can use the space in. And last but the most important thing, among this room and us sitting on the dais, we need to be the first unicorns in India in terms of waste management and toilets. That's what I would leave it at.
Thank you. Hi. So a bit of everything in our journey as well. Our journey started off with a simple conversation. I don't know how many of you have actually seen the river Ganga, but if you see it, you'll realize that as much respect we give the Ganga, it is not really reflected in the quality of it. The conversation happened by the ghat of river Ganga, wherein a friend from Czech Republic was visiting us. And there's nothing to do in Kanpur, to be very honest. So we took him over there, and it was the day of Makar Sankranti, and this fellow looks at it and says, don't you guys consider this river sacred? You call river Ganga your mother, and we said, yeah, we do. Then he asked us, why is it in such a sorry state of affairs? It's horrible. I would not even touch this water, leave alone drink from it. And it was a lot of European idealism talking to an Indian citizen, right? And we said, no, there's a lot that is happening. The government is taking efforts, it's going to get better, so on and so forth. In our hearts, we knew that it's going to take a lot of time to see a better river Ganga, right? And because we are in Kanpur, a lot of leather, toxic tannery, effluents, etc. are let out in the water. So we know that how difficult this problem is to solve. Didn't really give it too much of a thought. Around the same time, we saw a truck full of flowers come near the banks of the river Ganga and dump the entire flowers into the river body. Now, at that point of time, it didn't really strike us because this is something that we've been seeing as kids, right? You must have seen people standing on bridges, throwing plastic bags into the water, and it's accepted. We know that this is okay because whatever is offered to the god, you have to then put it back into the water to respect the sanctity of flowers and everything, and didn't really, switch. कुछ हुआ नहीं, मतलब अंदर कुछ हुआ ही नहीं हमें. But after like 10-15 minutes, this whole dump formed a small film on top of the water, and you could see that this was not helping the water at all. That's where we figured that maybe, just maybe, this is a small part of the larger problem which plagues the river Ganga. We went back, we were in our corporate jobs, just like Abhishek, we were doing our own stuff, but that one moment really, made us Google that how big a problem is this? Is it really even a problem? And then when we started searching, we realized that it's an 8 million ton problem in this country. About 8 million tons of flowers get dumped into the river, not just river Ganga, but water bodies across the country after these flowers have been offered to gods and so on and so forth. And that's when we felt that, boss, maybe we can't really provide a solution to the toxic tannery, but maybe if we could give an alternative endpoint to these flowers, maybe we could solve a small part of the entire problem. So that's how the story started. I remember the first time we went to the temples and so Pandits, they are the ones who sort of take care of everything. We went there and we asked them, आप हमें हमारे फूल दे, आपके फूल हमें दे दोगे क्या? तो the first question was कि क्यों हम मतलब फूल क्यों चाहिए तुम्हें? You want to sell it? What is the end objective? And we said, no, we want to make something out of it. We want to experiment. And they laughed us out. They said, कुछ नहीं होगा, भागो यहाँ से. We were just kids, literally kids going on activas and talking to these priests in temples, asking them कि कुछ तो दे दो. We needed some waste, right, to start experimenting with. Of course, and I was discussing this with Abhishek as well. Someone or the other will give you a chance. That's bound to happen in your startup's journey. Someone or the other will give you a chance. And the first time I remember, 2 से 3 kilo flowers हमें दिए गए. बोले आप कर लो, we'll give it to you for a week. You figure it out what you can do out of it. While we always had this thing in our head that maybe we could make incense sticks out of it, because flowers, if you can sort of, remove the buds, dry it, etc., etc. This was one of the products that we could make. So we made that product, we showed it to them. Of course, it was not in the best of the shape. There was no fragrance also in it, to be very honest. But we went to them, and when we showed it to them, so this fellow said that, okay, fine, I am happy to, जो भी फूल हमारे मंदिर में आएंगे, आप रोज उठा लीजिएगा. I have no problem with that. That's how the journey started. So from 2 kgs of flowers, we upcycle about 4.5 tons of flowers every day today into regular consumer products like incense sticks, incense cones. We've managed a way to make holy colors out of it. And because we are based out of Kanpur, we went and spoke with a lot of IIT Kanpur graduates. He would know it. And Nachiket, who heads the R&D team for us, I think anyone who starts a startup is a little crazy, or anyone who joins a startup is also a little crazy. Now this fellow from IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, just said that, you know what, let's figure it out. इससे और भी कुछ अगर बन सकता है तो we'll try it. And since then he started working on products. We've developed a technology in which this floral waste and farm waste, we convert it into leather. So a material which is very similar to animal leather, but you do not need to kill a single animal for it. You do not need heavy, effluents. You do not need a lot of tanning, etc. We've also made a material which is very similar to styrofoam and can be used as a replacement to styrofoam. But a lot about that can be spoken later. I can simply just talk about our journey, and maybe if you can draw some insights from it. See, capital is absolutely important in any journey that you take. If you're going to start up, you're going to need people. First, you have to go and sell your vision to them. Convince them that this crazy idea is good enough to for you to commit like a couple of years to. But commitment is one thing. You need to pay them as well. You need to make sure that the people you work with are paid, the innovation that you want to do, the R&D expenses. So for our idea, we really didn't have a lot of takers, right? What we did is, and this is around the same time that Startup India movement had gathered pace, Swachhata Abhiyan had started, a lot of colleges, etc. had started their, MBA colleges had started competitions that come and pitch over here and we'll give you a grant or we'll give you some funds. What we did is, we figured that let's go to any and every competition in this country, and the aim was to win the competition, no matter what. Make the best presentations, make sure that people understood what we did. In that way, we raised about 4.5 crores over the course of 2 years by just winning competitions. By just making sure we went to people and said that, you know what, give us a chance. This is our solution. This is what we are trying to do. This might work out, etc., etc. Gave great presentations in the process, got really good at it as well. I think that helped us in our subsequent funding rounds. But then this journey is, even today, we've still not stopped. Even today, we still go to large competitions where we will pitch our products, we'll pitch what we are trying to do, because we realize that that initial push that we got was what really established us as a company. There's another part of our startup, which is we work with women from the marginalized sections of the community. So our objective is the people who work with us, we primarily employ women who come from scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, women who are manual scavengers. Now, when we started employing them, there's certain issues that you face on ground as well. And at that point of time, it's really the belief that you have in yourself, your solution and your team, which will help you fight these things. So for any person who's, fresh starting out his journey, her journey, you really need to believe in your solution. You really need to say that, what I'm doing is the right thing. There's no reason to doubt yourself in the face of opposition, people saying that this won't work out, etc., etc. And always have a bird's eye view on your journey. In a sense that look at your journey from a perspective 5 years later. 5 years later, where do you want to reach? Look at yourself and your present situation from that angle. You'll always see that things iron out, things get better over time, so on and so forth. I personally also feel that through these competitions that you would go to, you would meet some fantastic mentors who would really guide you in your journey. And make sure you have like tons of conversations with these people. We got our first investor in the form of Manoj sir from Social Alpha, who sort of, the same pitch, give us a chance, we would want to do this. He was a judge at a competition. And post that, because he asked us some really difficult questions in that pitch. We went and spoke with him and asked him that, okay, this was the perspective that we had. Those were some really good questions. I don't know what, he just liked us, maybe he liked our faces. He said, would you want to grow this? If yes, we can definitely support you. And that's how we got our seed funding. And IIT Kanpur then came in, Social Alpha came in, DRK came in. Post that, our products reached a lot of consumers. Alia Bhatt is an investor today. We raised a round of funding, Series A round of funding a couple of months back. And all of this, 4 years back, if you would have told me, I would have laughed on you. That this is not possible, ye ho hi nahi sakta hai. So, for anyone who's starting your startup journey, trust me, it works out. And even if it doesn't, you will be richer by the experience. So don't be bogged down by detractors. That's the only thing that I would want to sort of leave you with.
हेलो। लंच के बाद का जो सेशन होता है थोड़ा सा कठिन होता है, क्योंकि एक तो इतनी ज़्यादा अंग्रेज़ी और उस पर से इतना बढ़िया खाना। तो मैं हिंदी में अपनी बात कहता हूँ कि जैसे यहाँ जो स्टार्टअप्स बैठे हुए हैं उनसे रिफ्लेक्शन के रूप में आप मतलब जानना चाहते हैं कि एज ए स्टार्टअप करने में या होने में या यहाँ तक पहुँचने में किस तरह के चैलेंजेस आ सकते हैं या किस किस तरह के अपॉर्चुनिटीज आ सकते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत सारे यहाँ यंग लोग भी बैठे हुए हैं जो कि स्टार्टअप कर रहे होंगे या इनिशियल फेज में होंगे या कोई आइडिया होगा उनके पास। तो जैसे मेरी जर्नी और जैसे और जो हमारे साथी बताए, सिमिलर ही जर्नी होता है। और if I talk about my journey, a simple project was floated in my college days, and I just grabbed that project in my summers. कि इस project को करेंगे with a professor, and 9 people were there. Summer project खत्म होने के बाद 2 लोग बचे उसमें, 7 लोग छोड़ दिए, report submit कर दिए, they got the whatever certificate and they left the entire project. With 2 people were there, and we said कि we can continue it, we can explore more about it because we had the time and we thought कि semester में भी इस चीज को किया जा सकता है। और we continued doing that for next 2.5 years. पूरा R&D उसका करते रहे। उस वक्त आपको नहीं पता होता जब आप R&D कर रहे होते हैं कि हमें तो नहीं पता था कि हम इसके स्टार्टअप में ही कन्वर्ट कर देंगे। It was like ठीक है, the learning experience can always help me with my other job, career or whatever of other studies, किसी भी career में help कर सकता है। And then at a time, fortunately, मैं IIT कानपुर से था, तो जब ग्रेजुएशन का टाइम आता है, जब प्लेसमेंट्स का टाइम आता है, तो स्टार्टअप क्या चीज़ है? स्टार्टअप आप नौकरी नहीं करेंगे, स्टार्टअप करेंगे। तो ये उस वक्त इतना कल्चर था भी नहीं, और नौकरी करना आज के वक्त में मतलब IIT कानपुर बहुत आसान चीज़ है। अरे भाई 80,000 लाख रुपए की नौकरी आपको आराम से मिल जाएगी, स्टार्टअप करेंगे आप। और उसके बाद ये आपका पहला सेटबैक होता है, मतलब पहला आपको बैरियर क्रॉस करना पड़ता है जिसमें आपको अपने फैमिली वाले को कन्वर्ट समझाना पड़ेगा ये स्टार्टअप में हम क्या चीज़ कर सकते हैं और हम कहाँ इसको ले जा सकते हैं, और अगर हम फेल भी हो जाएंगे तो उसके एक्सपीरियंस से हम क्या क्या चीज़ें और कर लेंगे। साल भर बाद अगर हम फेल हो गए, 2 साल 4 साल बाद हम अगर फेल हो गए, तो वो फेलियर किस तरीके से है, आप इसमें तमाम चीज़ें सीख लीजिएगा। आप प्रोडक्ट बनाने से लेके, सेल करने से लेके, मैनेजमेंट से लेके सब कुछ सीख रहे हैं ना। और ये जब आप दोबारा से जब अपने CV में लिखिएगा कि हमने 20 लोगों को हायर किया, 10 लोगों को निकाला, 10 जगह पे प्रोडक्ट बेचा, 5 जगह पे फेल हुआ, तो वो सारा कुछ तो अगले कंपनी में जाके आप जब अगर फेल भी हो जाते हैं, हम एक बात कहते हैं, तो उसमें आप रिफ्लेक्ट तो करेगा ही वो चीज़। तो आई सेड कि जॉब जिस दिन नहीं कुछ चलेगा उस दिन किया जाएगा, पर जो हमारे हाथ में अभी है उसको पहले आजमा के देखा जाए। सो इन 2018 आई स्टार्टेड माई कंपनी, और सबसे पहला हम अपने कैंपस को ही पिच किए कि वी कैन मैनेज योर वेस्ट। दे गेव अस अ स्मॉल छोटा सा स्पेस दिए, बोले एक हॉस्टल का वेस्ट मैनेज करके बताइए, तो फिर हम आगे बात करेंगे। हमने एक को किया, करते करते हम आज पूरे कैंपस का वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट कर रहे हैं, और आज नहीं 4 साल से कर रहे हैं। और कोई कहता है कि भाई जैसे हम लोग रैपिड कंपोस्टिंग में, कंपोस्टिंग को लेकर अवधारणा है कि अरे स्मेल आएगा, कीड़े पड़ जाएंगे, कैसे करेंगे। 4 साल से हम कर रहे हैं, एक सिंगल कंप्लेन नहीं आया, जबकि प्रोफेसर्स कम्युनिटी है, IIT जैसे लोग हैं जो ज़रा सा आप इधर उधर करके देख लीजिए, आप मतलब कहाँ से कहाँ मेल चला जाएगा। तो वैसे सिचुएशन में अगर आप उसको कर लिए, तो फिर वहाँ से एक आपको बेंचमार्क मिला कि अच्छा ठीक है, अगर हम यहाँ कर सकते हैं तो इसको बाहर भी कर सकते हैं। और सेकंड चीज़ जो अपूर्व ने बताया कि तमाम कंपटीशंस में पार्ट ले लिए हम लोग भी उस वक्त, क्योंकि दीज कंपटीशंस गिव यू अ वैलिडेशन कि आपका स्टार्टअप ठीक है कि नहीं है। क्योंकि जब आप कंपटीशंस में जाते हैं, आपकी तरह से और भी बहुत सारे 20 स्टार्टअप्स हैं, उनके भी प्रेजेंटेशंस हैं, और आपके कुछ कमेंट्स आ रहे हैं कि अरे आपका बिजनेस मॉडल गड़बड़ है, आपका तो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट क्लियर नहीं है, आपका साल भर के बाद का क्या, किस तरीके से आप इसको रेज करेंगे अपने स्टार्टअप को, इसका यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स क्या है, तमाम सारे सवाल आते हैं। और फिर आप 2 बार 10 बार फेल होइएगा, फिर उसके बाद आप 1 कंपटीशन जीतेंगे, 2 कंपटीशन जीतेंगे, आपके पोर्टफोलियो में ऐड होता हुआ चला जाएगा वो। तो वो वैलिडेशन बहुत जरूरी है। और आज का जितना अच्छा कल्चर बन चुका है कि आपको, मतलब मैं 2018 की बात बता रहा हूँ, उस वक्त हमने जब सिर्फ यही डेटाबेस तैयार करना शुरू किया कि कितने कंपटीशन चल रहे हैं, तो 100 कंपटीशन चल रहे थे उस वक्त। तो आज तो कितने ही कंपटीशन चल रहे होंगे। तमाम तो कॉलेजेस हैं जो अपने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप कंपटीशन चला रहे होते हैं, तमाम और स्कीम्स है जो कंपटीशन चला रहे होते हैं। If you have an idea, just go to these places and validate your idea. That will give you the benchmark what to do, what not to do. उसके बाद then from that place वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो बहुत ज़्यादा हेवली B2G सेगमेंट में है, गवर्नमेंट के साथ बहुत ज़्यादा डील करना पड़ेगा। और आप एक रफ्तार में दौड़ना चाह रहे हैं और किसी म्यूनसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में जाइएगा तो वो एक अपने रफ्तार में दौड़ना चाह रहा है, और उस रफ्तार को आपको 10 बार जाना पड़ेगा तो हो सकता है कि एक बार आपकी मुलाकात हो पाए। सो सेकेंड थिंग कि ये पेशेंस का रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है। देन वी वेंट टू Kanpur Municipal Corporation. There we pitched the entire solution. We got a pilot, and from there, in एक अपार्टमेंट में हमने किया, हमारा डिसेंट्रलाइज सॉल्यूशन है। हमने एक अपार्टमेंट में इसको लगाया, इसको चलाया, कमिश्नर साहब को फीता काटने के लिए बुलाया, वो भी खुश हो गए, हमारा भी एक जगह पे बाहर लग गया। उसके बाद हम लोग उस चीज को बेस बना के हमने तमाम और जगहों पे कानपुर में कर दिया, फिर तमाम और जगहों पे हमने लखनऊ में कर दिया, और इस तरीके से ये सिलसिला थोड़ा और बढ़ गया। तो यही अगर कोई स्टार्टअप अगर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट में या किसी भी डोमेन में, टेक्नोलॉजी, सोशल, किसी भी डोमेन में आज के वक्त में करना चाह रहा है, तो लगभग यही पाथ आपको फॉलो करना पड़ेगा। और यही पाथ हमको लगता है कि सब लोगों ने फॉलो करके और अपने स्टार्टअप को यहाँ तक बिल्ड किया है। सो दैट इज इट फ्रॉम माय जर्नी। थैंक यू।
I mean, I'm really excited after hearing all these stories, and I so resonate with all of them. I think most of us started at a period around 2014-15, wherein all these programs were being launched by the government, and the government was really supportive, be it Startup India or the Swachh Bharat mission in this space. So it was, I would say that it was really the timing that all of us together when we were starting up, the timing was really correct. So from my side, what all of us must have experienced here in India, and even in other developing economies, that when we were growing up and we were traveling so with our families across highways, it was really difficult to find hygienic toilets. So and that was really at the back of my mind almost always, that family members, we men are quite it's quite easy for us to sort of take a leak anywhere, but it's very difficult for women in the family to find a safe and hygienic space to relieve themselves. And it's all the more difficult for women living in densely populated areas like the slums, where they are really dependent on shared sanitation services. I came to realize that when I was studying at IRMA, Institute of Rural Management in Anand, we were sent to villages for various trainings, and we were supposed to live with the villagers for 2 months or 2.5 months, 3 months, straight live with the families, realize what challenges they face day in and day out. That is where, when we were living with them, I also realized that, it is a major problem for the people living in the villages, and, even in the urban areas, people who live in the slums, that there is no access to toilets. And this is something which is very basic. And when we, researched around this aspect, the data points that came up were really, threatening, wherein at that point of time, back in 2012, 2014, India definitely was called the open defecation capital of the world. I think those were the few triggers for me to sort of, venture into this space where, what we realized that all the public toilets and community toilets, the major problem was that the toilets were being built and vandalized in the same fashion for past so many decades. And billions of dollars were being spent by the government every year. So the problem was there, and and what we wanted to do was to plug in the gaps which were really plaguing the public toilet system. And the problem was that the toilets get vandalized easily, and second, the toilets do not get maintained properly. So that is where we wanted to come in, and the whole idea was that we would build a toilet which is indestructible, which cannot be vandalized, and it could be maintained easily. And it is, at the same time, is sustainable itself. So what we did was that we, built a toilet which is prefabricated, made out of a factory, made in steel, and all the components that go into this toilet are, made out of steel. So it's really, really hard to vandalize. Second, as we've seen in, all the railway coaches as well, the toilets are made out of steel. It uses lot less water to clean. And, there are no bleaching agents that are required to sort of clean these toilets. So the operational expenditures came down. Second, what we did was to automate the toilet system. And in terms of automation, what we wanted was that we did not want to depend on the users to come in and flush the toilet, or the cleaning staff to come in every now and then and sort of look at when to clean the toilet and not. So that is where we automated the whole toilet system, integrated IoT sensors onto it. With IoT, what we wanted to achieve was that we were gathering a lot of data in terms of how the users are using these toilets, and also about the health of the toilets also. So when I say the user-related data, we were gathering a lot of aggregated data in terms of how many users are coming in, what is the amount of water being used. In terms of health parameters of the toilets, what we track, sitting here, I can see at what particular site in UP we can see that how the toilets are functioning, how many people have used it, whether there is any malfunction inside the toilet or not. So our teams are able to take care of that. So we were able to reduce the turnaround time for maintenance. So back in 2014-15, when we came up with this prototype, what we thought that that it is if it has to grow, the government has to play its part. Either the government has to be a customer or a channel partner in this space, where if this has to scale, we will have to work with the government. But it took us a good 2.5, 3 years to sort of get a few pilots on the ground, work with few NGOs and CSRs, and see that these solutions are out there in the market for various people to see. You can do as many pilots, but it was really difficult for us to sort of convince various stakeholders at that point of time in the government space to sort of convince that this kind of a solution could work in India. So, but eventually, I'm happy to see representatives from the government of UP here. So we got our first chance from the government of UP with the Swachh Bharat Mission Directorate, wherein we were empaneled with the government of UP, and we did a lot of toilets back in the year 2018-19 with the government of UP, and definitely that helped us scale up quite much in the years that followed. Now, as I explained, we have been present in 12 states in India. We have done multiple projects globally as well. Not just in India, we've worked with 4 other countries also, providing a solution, working with various international development agencies. Today, more than 200,000 people use our services every day, and we want to scale it up to 5x in the next 3 years. We want to reach out to 1 million users every day. So what we have also achieved to do now is that we have launched our smart sanitation centers. So we are not just focused on smart toilets. We are providing bathing facilities, laundry facilities, clean drinking water points, and retail kiosks along. So what it does is that it becomes a one-stop shop for all the end users to come in and use all the water sanitation hygiene services that they require. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm really excited to see so many startups in this space coming along, and this is really a beautiful golden period for the startups in the waste management space. I wish you all the luck, and as few of us have definitely mentioned, do participate in most of the competitions, because when nothing is working, this is the credibility that you achieve, and this is the credibility that works wonders for you when you grow further and scale up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayank, and thanks all of you for the wonderful stories which you told the audience in terms of your journeys. I mean, for me, some of the main takeaways were that how most of you started with what seemed to be very crazy ideas, where people shooed you away and said, don't disturb us, kind of a thing, and then you still pursued it. You were crazy enough to pursue those ideas with a passion which really helped you to scale. And so I think for all the people in the audience, that should be a lesson never to give up. I mean, if you have the conviction, then you can definitely do it, and things will find a way. There will always be, as somebody said, somebody who will, that one person who will support you, and then that one will keep on multiplying. A lot of the other very interesting things, such as, how, I mean, in terms of how you can brand toilets as a cafe. I mean, that was a great takeaway for me in terms of, the branding, how important that is, and how important that is, how important it is to enable a behavior change among people. And, of course, how, people have been successful in raising big amounts of money in this sector, which, even few years back, nobody would have imagined that, VCs will come and invest in this sector. We have seen, millions of dollars now getting invested in some of these companies. I think we are a little short of time because we started late, but maybe there's time for a quick round of audience questions, and I'm sure there are a lot of many curious minds here waiting to ask panelists about some of the things they spoke about. Why don't we take a couple of questions from the audience? If there's somebody who wants to ask something, please raise your hand and you'll get a mic. Binay sir has a question, if you can.
मेरा सवाल ये हरिशंकर जी से है। हरिशंकर जी, आपने जो कहा है और मतलब कि ये बहुत ही रिलेवेंट है स्वच्छ भारत मिशन के लिए। आप किस टेक्नोलॉजी का आप यूज़ कर रहे हैं रैपिड कन्वर्शन में, तो आप उसके बारे में थोड़ा हम लोग जानना चाहेंगे। प्लस ये आपकी जो साइकिल टाइम है वो कितने दिन की है? स्पेशली मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि हमारे यहाँ जितने भी RWAs हैं, बल्क वेस्ट जनरेटर हैं, उनको हमारी ये पॉलिसी रही है, जहाँ पर भी 100 kg से ज़्यादा वेस्ट पैदा होता है तो हम उसे कहते हैं जो आप अपने एंड पे उसको मैनेज करिए। तो ये आपका जो हमारे साथ जो आज बहुत सारे ये जुड़े हुए हैं, दे कैन अडॉप्ट दिस टेक्नोलॉजी। आप इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए
सर। इसमें सर जो दो तरीके का इंटरवेंशन है, एक मैकेनिकल साइड से है और एक बायोलॉजिकल साइड से है। बायोलॉजिकल साइड सिविल इंजीनियरिंग और बायोलॉजिकल साइंस इंजीनियरिंग डिपार्टमेंट IIT कानपुर के साथ हम लोगों ने डेवलप किया था, विच हैज अ स्पेसिफिक काइंड, वी डेवलप अ कंसोर्शियम विच डिग्रेड्स द वेस्ट रैपिडली। वो खास तरह का हम कंसोर्शियम ट्वीक कर सकते हैं, जैसे ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट है, घर का वेस्ट है जिसमें ग्रीन मैटर ज़्यादा है, तो देन वी कैन ट्वीक इट अराउंड दैट। एंड इफ देयर इज अ हॉर्टिकल्चरल वेस्ट और एग्रीकल्चरल वेस्ट, देन वी कैन ट्वीक इट दैट। वी हैव अ कोलैबोरेशन विद पूसा IRI न्यू दिल्ली एज वेल फॉर दैट। सो ये दो जगहों से बायोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन है। और मैकेनिकल साइड में we work with Professor Ram Kumar, is from Department of Mechanical Engineering, and उसमें श्रेडिंग, मिक्सिंग, एरेशन, कार्बन फिल्टर, ये सारे पैरामीटर्स उस मशीन में हैं जो ऑटोमेटेड वाले में हैं, जिसको आप किसी भी 5 स्टार होटल से लेके किसी अपार्टमेंट में लगा सकते हैं कि स्मेल का कोई गुंजाइश ना रहे। जैसे स्मेल बनने के कारण है कि मीथेन का बनना, और अगर मीथेन एनारोबिक प्रोसेस के कारण हो रहा है, अगर एनारोबिक प्रोसेस हम होने ना दें, ऑक्सीजन का प्रचुर मात्रा में उसमें एरेशन रहे, तो वो चीज़ नहीं होगा। उसके अलावा भी अगर कुछ हाइड्रोजन सल्फाइड या किसी और तरीके का कंपाउंड बन रहा है, वी कैन यूज द कार्बन फिल्टर टू एब्जॉर्ब दैट काइंड ऑफ गैसेस। सो फ्रॉम द मैकेनिकल साइड वी कैन कर्व द स्मेल एंड कैन इंक्रीज द एंटायर गेस्टेशन पीरियड टाइमिंग। और बायोलॉजिकल साइड में इंटरेस्टिंग क्या चीज़ है कि अगर आपके पास स्पेस है, एग्रीकल्चर स्पेस, हम लोग जैसे विलेजेस के साथ भी काम किए हैं, तो काउडंग है और या एग्रीकल्चरल वेस्ट है बहुत सारा, कोई किसी भी तरीके का इंटरवेंशन की जरूरत नहीं है। सिंपलर बायोलॉजिकल स्प्रे आप करिए एंड यू जस्ट टर्न एंड मिक्स इट ऑन अ पीरियोडिक टाइम एंड यू विल गेट द कंपोस्ट आउट ऑफ इट। The agricultural waste, you get the compost in 40 days. We are converting every day 10 tractor trolleys of waste inside inside Kanpur itself. And regarding the organic waste, we will convert that into 10 to 15 days. 15 days comes around in the winters when the temperature is low, and 10 days we get that in summers. Now, Someone may say, rapid composting can be done in 24 hours, 48 hours also. Similar kind of claims are also there in the market. The issue with those claims are, from a scientific perspective, I can tell you that to grow a bacteria, there is a time required. You cannot aim like कि 3 घंटे में bacteria grow हो जाएगा, degrade हो जाएगा, उससे mineralization हो जाएगा, और सारा minerals saturate होके आपको बढ़िया carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium सब मिल जाएगा. It requires a time, and the minimum which we can achieve was 10 days, in which we are making 2 different kind of manure, in the liquid form as well as in the solid form as well. The liquid can easily be used with the drip irrigation, furrow irrigation in the villages, and the solid can definitely be used for the horticultural purposes. So ये अभी है, और मैं तो इसको दिखा भी सकता हूँ, and most welcome you can come to Kanpur, and or any of your colleagues can come to Kanpur, and I can definitely demonstrate.
बहुत अच्छी बात है. आप पे विश्वास है हमें. Now my next question is from Abhishek Satchur. You mentioned about this methane gas emission, and we can find out through the satellite imagery that there is a presence of. So can you explain a little bit more about it, and how we can use in our system in identifying how we can help the cities to identify this?
Yes, sir. It's a bit nuanced than just doing a satellite imagery analysis. Essentially, there are methane satellites which have got sensors to detect methane, and combining that with ground information, we can identify hotspots, and this can be done at scale. The advantage of doing any satellite imagery analysis is you could look at the entire country in one shot, or you could look at a large area like a state or a city at one shot. So it is possible, and it should definitely be part of the waste management toolkit of any government to look at satellite-based assessments for different kinds of waste and encroachments and things like that. So in fact, our platform today, our open innovation platform, already has a lot of these data sets available, and it is for, you can build applications on top of that. So depending on the requirement of a municipality or a government, these data sets can be used to build applications.
Any more questions? Maybe time for one last question.
तो मेरा क्वेश्चन मयंक से है फॉर गर्व टॉयलेट. सो आई जस्ट वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसे रहा है गवर्नमेंट के साथ काम करने में, और अगर आप अर्ली स्टेज स्टार्टअप्स को कुछ एडवाइस देना चाहते हैं, हाउ शुड दे एंटर दिस मार्केट एंड हाउ शुड दे स्टार्ट अप्रोचिंग, व्हाट वुड बी अ राइट वे टू गो अबाउट इट, एंड बाकी भी कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं.
Sure, thank you. No, so I would say that whatever we are today is because we've been able to work with the government, and it was, as I mentioned, it was a timing wherein the Startup India program and the Swachh Bharat mission was launched, and we got a chance to present our solution to various state governments, and fortunately for us, the UP government provided us the chance to do a few installations, and then we got a chance to scale it up further. So once you get a chance to work with one state government, definitely it builds up the credibility, and you can participate in various other opportunities in other state governments or the central government projects also. So that is how we progressed. But yeah, there are challenges that remain. The central government might issue a few advisories, but the states are not really aligned at some level. So there are challenges. I would not say that it has been a cakewalk, but yes, every day there are challenges, and one needs to walk through it. It is anywhere, at any stage in any of the startup, even if you're not working with the government, those challenges are going to be there. But it's all the more easy now, I would say that, back in 2017, 18, it took us some time to sort of enter in the government space. But now I would say that there are so many opportunities for the startups to get engaged with the government. And if one enters the government space, there's definitely a huge opportunity that the startups can tap into. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we're really out of time. This has been a very, very interesting discussion. I wish we could do a lot more questions, but unfortunately, we are out of time. So thank you so much, and over to the MC now.
Thank you so much. That was, you're right, an absolutely engrossing discussion that we had. And may I request Sri Binay Jha to present mementos to our speakers and presenters here. Thank you. We will now be having one more session again with startups before we go for the concluding session, which is the felicitation ceremony, and something that all of us are waiting for. However, this session, which is called Prerna, is slightly different, even though it involves startups, because here we will be speaking to a few aspiring unicorns and to an organization which has already become a unicorn. So I would like to start with the aspirants, the unicorn aspirants. We have Sri Tarun Mehta, co-founder and CEO of Athar Energy, who's waiting online from Bangalore to join us and share his experiences and what he proposes to do in his journey towards aspiring for a unicorn status. Mr. Tarun Mehta, Athar Energy. Athar Energy is involved in creation of efficient electric vehicles, enabling integration of devices and making the experience seamless.
Hi.
Over to you, Mr. Mehta.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here. I am Tarun, co-founder and CEO at Aether Energy. Aether is an electric vehicle startup. We are based out of Bangalore. We started almost 9 years ago. Let me just give you a quick story of how we did startup. So both co-founders, myself and Swapnil Jain, we were in IIT Madras. We went to college together, and we are trying to figure out how to start up in the energy space for many years. We were calling ourselves Aether Energy since second year of college. So it was a very old dream of ours to start up something, and preferably something in the energy space. Finally, in 2012, we graduated. We were still attempting to build something. It took us about 6 months. We had an idea to build a battery pack. And we were literally trying to figure out where can we put a battery pack on. And one of the biggest use cases was obviously electric vehicles. Remember, this is 2012, and this is the year when Tesla was finding massive success with its Model S in US and Europe. So as two recent graduates of engineering, it was a very interesting opportunity for us. It was obvious to us that electric vehicles were going to go mainstream. It was obvious to us that the story in India was going to be led by two-wheelers, because that's what most of the Indian vehicles are. And China across the border had great success in electrifying its fleets. So we started trying to figure. So we started figuring out how can we put battery packs in electric scooters, and that became a very fascinating journey because very quickly we went from trying to we went from very quick. Sorry, we went from trying to build battery packs for other scooters to reaching an interesting conclusion that we don't like any of the scooters on the road. So in 2012, 2013, most of the electric scooters that were being sold in India were largely imports out of China. They were very poor quality, very shoddily put together. Most of the companies putting them were not even technology or engineering companies. They were essentially just importers, just bringing a container from China and selling them in India. And understandably, Indian consumers hated these products. There was no love, there was no attraction, and hence the sector wasn't taking off. So the more time we spent trying to figure out how do we sell a battery to these OEMs, the more we became convinced that that's a terrible idea, and we need to not just build a battery, but we need to build the entire vehicle. I reached the conclusion in 2013 and finally started Ather. And now our vision has evolved from just building battery packs to building complete electric scooters. Over the next 9 years, Ather has invested very deeply and immensely in R&D. We believe manufacturing obviously is important, but as far as automotives go, as far as two-wheelers go, India has never lacked manufacturing. But what India has historically lacked is product development in India. We never control our own IP. We never control our own designs. And if we don't control our own designs and IP, eventually we'll end up giving a lot of royalties and we'll end up becoming a dumping ground for a lot of countries. So our view was that with electrification, it's not just an opportunity for a company like ours, it's also an opportunity for the Indian market to leapfrog and not just become a mass producer of vehicles, but also become a massive source of IP globally. Over the next 9 years, Ather's put together today the largest R&D in the country for electric vehicles, especially electric two-wheelers. Almost close to 900 people in R&D. Ather's invested the most in R&D, close to about 1,500 crores over the last several years. And the outcome has been Ather 450X, which is a flagship product. It went on sale a few years back, and today we are quickly becoming the largest EV two-wheeler player in India, with monthly production and sales of roughly about 10,000 units, and we're hoping to hit about 30,000 units a month over the next few quarters, making this a considerable player even when compared to petrol counterparts. So that's been a journey over the last 8-9 years. It's been there are lots of stories I can talk about. The fundraising stories have been fascinating. Fundraising for a hardware and automotive startup in India back in 2014, 2015 was no fun. And trying to build an R&D of that caliber and that size in India, it has the highest IP for electric vehicles anywhere, electric two-wheelers, sorry. And some of the things, almost all the platforms that Ather's built have become Indian and global standards. The products that our teams built became the first of its kind globally. For example, the first two-wheeler globally to have a touchscreen dashboard was an Ather. The first two-wheeler to launch with Android and Google Maps navigation basically on the handlebar was an Ather. The first fast charger to be built and installed in the country was an Ather fast charger. Today, Ather has 400 fast chargers in the country, making this the largest fast charging network for electric scooters in India. There are a lot of firsts, and I can keep talking about them, but let me just pause there. That's been our story, in a very fascinating journey, and we think over the next over the rest of this decade, electrification will be a $200 billion opportunity. And we believe it is going to be Indian companies, and we believe it is going to be new age companies like ourselves that will lead the way and contribute hopefully meaningfully towards the overall decarbonization target of the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta. I understand that you will have to drop off and go off to another meeting. So in case you're still online, can we ask for any other questions for him? Mr. Mehta, are you still online?
I'm online here. If there are any questions I can take now, I won't be able to come back again.
Okay. So is there any question? Okay, there is a question from the audience. Can I have a mic given to him, please? A microphone for him.
Thanks. Hey Tarun, my name is Tarun. Amazing speaking to you. I had a question on fundraising. We're also a hardware startup. I just wanted, if you could give me an advice on how you negotiated your valuation, especially when you have to put in so much money in one of your very, very first rounds, when a lot of it had to go for building up assets. I imagine you would have to build up assets right at the beginning. And how did you justify it? How did you negotiate your valuation? Thanks.
So valuation has not always been our friend. It's sometimes worked for us, it's sometimes worked against us. Eventually you develop a philosophical view of things like valuations. But in the starting years, obviously it's very crucial because I think it's a mistake to think of valuation in isolation. The point of valuation at different stages is very different. In early stages, a better valuation implies you can raise more capital. See, it's not only about dilution. Actually, it's really about dilution. And we saw that firsthand because we got lucky. We managed to pull in a few series of investors who were able to support a good valuation for Ether. And that allowed Ether to capitalize itself considerably more than its counterparts. There were lots of good teams at the same time in 2014, 2015 in India. Ether was not the only one. But everybody, like almost everybody else in the market possibly raised between $1 to $2 million. Ether was lucky to attract about roughly $50 million. And that put a massive trajectory difference between Ether and its competition. Just access to resources, right? So in the early stages, a better valuation opens up more access to capital, and hence you can do more with it, right? And live up hopefully to your full potential. In later stages, a better valuation implies a better return for your shareholders, which just keeps everybody happy, right? Because especially in later years, once your business kicks in and you have revenue and you're talking about EBITDA and IPO, if you do not give great returns to your shareholders, they will not be your friends and life will be difficult. So valuation has different roles at different points. Early stages, the thing that worked considerably well for us is that we had a very focused pitch. We never changed our pitch. I remember running into several meetings for almost 18 months where the unanimous feedback to us constantly was that you do not start building a complete vehicle, right? You first build a battery management system that you will sell to battery manufacturers. Then you earn your way up, right? You gain more credibility. Then once you have established some credibility over 5-7 years, then you start building battery packs and you try to sell them to OEMs and so on and forth. It never made sense to us. Our pitch was very consistent. There is an opportunity to build vehicle platforms in India, and the company that will do all of it together in an integrated way will unlock the highest amount of value, and we will not change this pitch for any investor. Funnily, that's the pitch that worked for the three investors that put in money in Ether. Sachin Bansal of Flipkart, followed by Tiger Global, and then followed by Hero MotoCorp. I distinctly know, because they all told me at different points, that because you refused to change your pitch despite getting challenged, that's what convinced us that you were very confident of what you want to do. And that's a great thing to know. So not changing our pitch turned out to be really great for us. The second big thing specifically for hardware startups is please build prototypes. Do not shy away from building prototypes. Have like at least 4 or 5 prototypes in your target, right? Constantly keep pushing out a version that is better. Like Ether reached a point several times in its journey, like 4 or 5 times by my count, when we are down to the last 1 week of cash in the bank, despite having hundreds of employees. But the thing that saved us consistently was that we had a beautiful story of how amazing this product and this story and this experience will be. But that was a presentation. That story, when backed by the beautiful prototype in front of it, is what kept convincing people again and again. You know what? We can't give up on this company. We have to, come and support it. Without prototypes, you have nothing else to sell. As a hardware startup, you will not have users, you will not have downloads, you will not have GMV, you will not have any of these metrics. How will investors value you or give you money? It can only happen by great storytelling, supported by beautiful prototypes. Invest every last cent that you have on a better prototype. And I think the best returns come out of that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta. And knowing that you are pressed for time, all of us hope that very soon we will be seeing Aether in the list of the next list of unicorns. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I now call on stage our next three speakers, Sri Shashank of Dehat, Sri Shashank of Dehat, Mr. Abhay Deshpande of Recycle, and Mr. Ankit Fatepuria, co-founder of Zetwork. Do we have Sri Shashank of Dehat? Mr. Shashank Kumar, Dehat. Okay, yeah. So may I request Mr. Abhay Deshpande of Recycle. Mr. Deshpande is an enthusiastic tech entrepreneur whose startup Recycle works towards empowering businesses to achieve their EPR target and other stakeholders to get complete traceability and transparency with the help of its digital technology solution. Over to you, Mr. Deshpande. You can take that podium, please.
Thank you.
Okay, you can speak from here.
So I think I will just share my brief background before I start talking about what Recycle does. So I saw a lot of young entrepreneurs today here. Few started in 2014, 2015. For me, the journey has been for the last 25 years. I think this is my 25th year of my entrepreneurship. Started in 1998. I call this as an ESG journey. And today all of us and many of you are talking about sustainability, ESG, and these have become the buzzwords. So the ESG for me is, first was E was for e-commerce, which I started in 1998. The first e-commerce marketplace of India called Malamal.com, while India was not ready for internet itself. So we were almost 10 years ahead of the time. And that is one mistake many of the entrepreneurs do, that many times they are ahead of the time. And they are not at mistake, because the PPT and the Excel sheets are such a beautiful tools. You can be a billion-dollar company on an Excel sheet within 2 hours or 3 hours, right? And you feel that passion in the evening that, yes, my numbers in the next 3 years is going to be $1 billion GMV and I'm going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. And that's required. So I think that happened with me. I started my first venture in 1998, a company called Malamal.com. India had around 3 lakh internet users across India at that time. 3,000 rupees for 100 hours used to be the internet. Many of you who were at that time using internet might be aware about it. And I started an e-commerce company without a payment gateway in India. I used to use a payment gateway from US. And then we got the first payment gateway, which ICICI Bank provided. So we got the IC001, I still remember the code number. So pretty early, 10 years ahead of the time, learned a lot during that period. Couldn't become Malamal from monetary perspective. I think Malamal is the word we all know. So couldn't become Malamal from monetary perspective, but learned a lot about entrepreneurship, because I come from a middle class background. So it was what you should not do as an entrepreneur in the business was the major learning I took away from Malamal.com. Then started my second company second baby called MartJack. It was the first SaaS company of India. Again, software as a service for Indian market. That was another, again, I will say I was little mature by then, so it was 4 years ahead of the time. I learned a little bit of the first experience. This time, but India selling a software as a service, asking people to pay monthly rental for a software platform was something unheard of. Those days, people were only knew about SaaS B2B, Bhauti wali SaaS. This SaaS was completely unknown. When I used to go to people and ask them for 2,000 rupees per month for a technology product, they used to say, boss, pagal ho gaya tu, who will pay you that kind of money? We still continued. We knew that SaaS is around the corner. Only similar time, the market Shopify is another startup which is pretty big. Started at the same time almost in US. But they were at the right market, we were in the wrong market. Again, so you need to be careful about what product you are building and what market you are into. So we started that. We raised around $7-8 million for that company. That was another experience. We didn't know venture capitalists could trust us. So I raised $7 million from 86 investors in 135 tranches. That's a different story altogether. A lot of people ask me when I go and speak at conferences that should we try it? Should we do that way? So I tell them, if you see that Salman Khan's ad on the TV, that thumbs up ad where he's jumping from here and there, so there is a disclaimer at the bottom, right? Don't try this at home, right? It's very risky. Running a startup without money, a product company is not easy at all. Every day when we used to go to office, we didn't know whether our office will open or not because there was no money. Light bill was converted into installments. Very tough. And we had 175 employees. And the passion was big, vision was big, but there was no capital available. But somehow we survived that period. This time we were a bit mature. The great team. This got acquired in 2015 by Capillary Technologies, which is a Singapore-based and Bangalore-based company. And this is one of the largest SaaS exits in those days. There were no unicorns by then in the country. So that was an experience. Then I came out from Capillary after 1.5 years, being there for 1.5 years as a CEO for e-commerce business. After coming out, I thought it's 18 years of entrepreneurial journey. So I thought I will take a break of at least 6 months, spend time with the family. But the 6th day at home, I realized that I can't sit at home because I was always been struggling, trying to build startups. So my family started feeling that their privacy was getting disturbed because they never saw me at home. So I was thrown out of house almost. I became an accidental investor thereafter. I invested in around 9 startups. Even tried to start a fund, $100 million fund, got a commitment of $30-40 million. But during that process, I realized that I'm still a horse where people can bet than I betting on somebody else. So I dropped that plan, and in 2016, I was looking for a third baby. A startup is a baby, as all the founders who are end founders remember that every baby is unique. So every startup you build is going to be like a baby. You have to take care of that from a small child the way you take care. And every child is different. And it's like I was successful in my last startup. That doesn't mean that I will be successful this time because it's like a cricket match. You go to a tree, this match you hit a century, next match the ball will swing differently, the ball will turn differently. So I think we were looking for our next opportunity, and somewhere we felt waste management looks like a big opportunity. And that's where our journey started in 2016. 17 and 18, these are the 2 years we spent in only learning the space. None of us knew anything about waste management. Instinct of an entrepreneur was, this is amazing opportunity. By then, most of the companies disrupted the B2C market of it, like Swiggy came in, food delivery market, and all disruption happened. Everybody was focusing on pre-consumption and consumption stage. Nobody was focusing about post-consumption stage. And this was not that sexy business also when we talk about waste. So we felt that we should intervene here and we should try to do something. We should bring a digital intervention. That's how the journey started. 2 years we spent on learning the space. We went down, met the rack pickers, kawadiwalas, ULBs. We worked with everyone across, no revenue focus, invested $1 million. And only idea was to do a deep analysis of the market and learn about it. And that we call internally as the Harvard MBA in Invest Management for 35 people. We were a 35 people team by then. And one of the best things we did that invested on right people. So I generally believe that for any startup, the team is the most important aspect. And I also tell people that if at the start of my journey, if somebody gives me 5 good co-founders and $10 million, I will choose 5 good co-founders. They will bring $500 million later together. So that is the way it has worked for us. And after 2 years, I think we started converting those learning into the business. And today, Recycle has been like almost growing 30-40% month on month. And we have been channelizing around 50,000 metric tons of waste. It's a marketplace. And as everybody explained, we also went to the market, spoke to the rack pickers, spoke to kabadiwalas. they said कि पागल हो गए हो, पैसा कमा लिया अभी तो उड़ा क्यों रहे हो? Some people suggested that you should start a charitable trust and spend money there rather than doing this venture. Because anyway the money is going to burn here, nobody is going to sell kachara on the internet. But today, while after 4 years exactly, there are 200 trucks moved from one place to other. There are 6,000 kabadiwalas who are selling the material. There are 150 recyclers who buy material from us. And there are 10 recyclers who have removed their procurement department and only buying through our platform. So we have actually formalized that process. We stayed there, that perseverance and everything has paid. And after like this 25th year of entrepreneurship, I saw there are 30 startups outside who put in their stalls, and there might be many. This space, waste management, is going to be the next big thing for this country. And I have not seen any space as bigger as it is. It is an ocean. It is an ocean. What Recycle has done with all the great numbers we are doing right now, it's just taken few buckets of water from it. It has huge opportunity. At the same time, it's very complex. It's not very simple. You need to have that perseverance and patience. And I can tell you that by 2024, by 2030, there will be 10 unicorns only built from this space, waste management space. So have that trust, have that patience, and stay tuned and stay there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deshpande. I understand that Mr. Shashank Kumar of Dehat has unfortunately had his flight delayed and has not been able to reach here on time. Now, the previous two speakers who spoke to us are running very successful startups which are aspiring to be unicorns, and we wish them all the best. Now we will be hearing from Mr. Ankit Fatehpuria, co-founder of Zetwork, which is already a unicorn. Sri Fatehpuria joined Zetwork in March 2019 and has been instrumental in setting up the finance function for the company. Before joining Zetwork, Ankit served as a category finance manager at ITC and internal auditor at IUCL. He's a chartered accountant, company secretary, and an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. Mr. Fatehpuria.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here. Pleasure to speak, on this platform, and a very nice concept of waste management, Swachh Bharat, and I'm sure few budding entrepreneurs already in the hall, like Abhijit said that in this space itself, many more unicorns to come. So I'm sure some of them are already sitting here. In a years to come, probably, we would be hearing more from them. Talking about our journey, Zetwork, we call the company as Zetwork Manufacturing Businesses Private Limited. So this has got two words. The company has got two words in its name, Zetwork and businesses. Zetwork is basically a Dutch word which means foundation. So right from our day one, the thought process was do something, lay a strong foundation. We've been trying to do that for the last 4 years, many more years to come. We want to, follow this journey of setting up strong foundation, and then businesses. Our thought process is when there is an opportunity, which is, having some adjacencies, why not do that? So today, as we speak in Zetwork, there are a bunch of business which we run, some 10, 11 categories. That is why we call ourselves as businesses. So this is how I wanted to start. Now talking about what we do, what is our model, what have we done, what are we doing for the country, certain glimpses. So Zetwork basically as a concept is a platform for contract manufacturing. So what we do in the company is match right set of suppliers with right set of customers. That's a business model. The problem which we identified back in 2018 was, in India, a lot of capacity is already there, but inefficient, underutilized. That's the problem which we wanted to solve. That why not channelize or, solve for the ecosystem so that the problem which we can solve is at least the capacity which is available can be efficiently utilized. While sufficient capacity is there, but customers are not happy. Who is our customer? OEM and EPC companies. They always think that capacity is not there, or else, products are not delivered on time, or else quality is not good. So two fundamental problems, one on the supply side we wanted to solve, one on the demand side we wanted to solve. For the suppliers, And who is our supplier? It is basically the MSMEs of the country. You know, thousands and thousands of MSMEs present in the country. We are fortunate to work with more than 10,000 MSME today. You know, this is what we've built in the last 4 years. The problems which they face is, they don't have predictable demand. You know, while they have their own workshops, but they don't know whether 3 months down the line they would be running their factory. Will they have orders with them? Assuming even if they have orders, then the next problem is working capital. Will they have timely working capital to channelize that order? Assuming they have money, will they be able to buy the raw material, the correct quality of raw material at the best prices? So these are certain problems which at Zetwork we are solving for our MSME. Ensuring they have predictable demand round the year, ensuring they are able to buy their raw material, logistics, working capital at the best available competitive prices. If we are able to solve these problems for our MSMEs, then the resultant output is on-time delivery, better quality products. And these things we are solving through tech. You know, we are leveraging technology as much as possible by building softwares, all in-house softwares, deploying them with our MSMEs so that they are able to get predictable demand, they are able to source their raw material at the best prices, they are able to arrange their logistics at the right time and deliver best quality products to the customers. By doing this, some of the problems of this suppliers community is getting solved. What do we do for our customer? You know, whether it's a big customer, whether it is a tier 2 customer, the few problems which our customer faces, again, they have given order to a supplier, but 2 months, 3 months down the line, they don't have visibility whether the product will be delivered on time. Even if it is delivered on time, will it adhere to all the quality parameters? 2 months down the line, when there is an inspection, will there be defects, or else will it be first time right? These are the problems. So for our customers, what we are solving again through technology, any food delivery app, in 30 minutes, for the next 30 minutes when we have ordered, we see the full status in the next 30 minutes. Whether the restaurant has accepted the order, whether delivery boy has reached, whether he has started to deliver the order. So for our projects, this kind of a visibility we give to our customers for the next 2.5, 3 months. That whether the supplier has accepted the order, whether he has placed order for the raw material, whether raw material has arrived, cutting has happened, fit up, black inspection, multiple stages. And for the entire span of that project, 2.5 months, he has got that full visibility. This solves the problem. Our customers, from having very, very thick procurement team yesterday, has started having a very, very lean procurement team today. Because this is the visibility which we are solving for them. By deploying our, again, in-house developed apps, we are solving for quality. Our customers need not deploy a lot of people from their in-house team, quality team, or maybe third-party inspection teams to go to our supplier's factory and do that quality. We are solving for the quality. We are solving for timely supplies. So by doing this, what we have realized, sufficient demand is there in the country. And like I said, sufficient supply is there. We are just able to tap it and channelize this. And by doing this, over a period of last 4 years, we have been able to work with more than 10,000 MSME, creating 50,000 jobs indirectly. We are working with more than 2,000 companies in the country. More than 10% of these companies are companies based out of India. We are supplying from the country. And as a result, I think we resonate with 2 of the themes which is being driven by Honorable Prime Minister, which is Make in India, which is Atmanirbhar Bharat. In our own small way, we are trying to solve this. And we have added one more slogan to our theme, Make in India, Make for India. So today, in this 4 years, we are very fortunate to be a unicorn company. I think we became unicorn last year only. We are currently valued at $2.7 billion. And in this 4 year, we've seen quite some growth from a very, very humble, some financial numbers I'm throwing, from a very, very humble turnover of around 28-30 crores way back in 2018-19. Last year, we've been able to do 5,500 crores of business in Zetwork. More than 10% of our revenues come from export demand. We directly employ around 1,500 people in the company, multiple engineers, budding engineers from so many IITs, but very humbly, I want to submit that 4 years back, we never thought all this, that in a span of 3-4 years, we'll be able to solve this. So certain thoughts which I would like to share is, you need to be solving the right problem. you need not think about where do you land up 2 years, 5 years down the line. If you are solving the right problem with right set of people, everything will fall in place. You know, I'm here for the last 1 hour. I've been hearing certain topics. Abhay sir also mentioned product market fit, raising money, being ahead of time, trends. Everything I think will fall in place. If you are solving the right problem with right set of people, with the right intent, you will be able to raise money, valuations bhi aa jayenge, turnover bhi ho jayega, you will become a big company, but it all starts with solving the right problem, right? A lot of learnings for us in this journey. Most important learning is, again, reiterating, if you have right people along with you in this journey, if you have been able to spot the right talent, if you have people who share the same passion, same energy, and if you resonate with that bunch of people, lot of problem is solved. You know, in Zetwork, there are 5 co-founders. We share a common theme. But today we realize it's not just restricted to 5 of us. We are a bunch of 1,500 people. I think right from top to bottom, all of us resonate with the same vision that we have to solve, do something for the company. That's what we have been doing. And talking about fundraise, I think, again, you know, if there's a product market fit, if you're solving a right problem which has got some unit economics, tomorrow, you know, there's a path to growth, path to profitability, right set of investors will fall in place. We are fortunate to work with one of the best VCs of the world, you know, global VCs, companies like Axel, Sequoia, Green Oaks, Lightspeed, D1 Capital. And we've been fortunate that money was never a problem for us. We've been able to use our money, you know, in a very, very efficient manner. Talking about some of the social impacts, like I said that by working with this MSME community, we work with more than 10,000 MSME, we indirectly create 50,000 jobs, okay? And all these MSMEs are from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, okay? So indirectly, we are impacting lives, we are creating jobs. And again, this China plus one strategy, you know, around 200 companies outside of India have moved their supply chain from China to India. And we've been one of the companies who've kind of, you know, helped in that transition. We've created that impact. Lot of, you know, supply chains of consumer good, lot of supply chain of industrial products, lot of supply chain of apparel has moved to India from China. And we've been one of those factors. We have been one of the beneficiary companies. We have created that, we have delivered that, created that value prop. And talking about our presence, again, we are headquartered in Bangalore, but now we are going out of India. Today we are present in 15 countries. You know, we have our either offices or subsidiaries outside of India, in Singapore, in Middle East, in US. But we work with multiple companies, from 15 different countries outside of India, present in, again, US, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East. And however, having told some of these numbers, some of these thoughts, I think the journey has just begun for us. Long way to go. I think we've barely scratched. Huge demand is there. Lot of more problems to solve. So with this thought process of solving this problem and scaling up, you know, we've reached this far, and long way to go for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The floor is now open for questions from either Mr. Deshpande or Mr. Fatehpuria. You have a question, please. Can a microphone be given to him, please?
Hey, I'm Tarun. So I just wanted to ask either of you, and please feel free to answer. How did you plan the exit for your investors? And I mean, how do you plan for it right from the initial stages? I believe that's one of the most important aspects in this journey. Thank you.
I think the first suggestion to all of you that never build your business with the plan of exit, right? One, form as an entrepreneur. It will have an exit if it has. Second, when the investor is coming in, and if he's a VC and a professional investors, he knows what he's getting into. You really don't need to plan it, frankly, right? Generally, the agreement will say 5 years exit, 7-year exit. After that, you will have a new investor. And if you're not getting a new investor, the exit is not possible for you also and for the investor also. It's a gone deal, right? Investor knows they have their calculations done. Out of 10, 6 are going to go, two will be moderate, one will be superstar, one will be super duper star. So I don't think that should be the worry. While we have raised multiple rounds, and Ankit has raised much bigger rounds than us, and in the past also we have raised rounds. So we haven't really seen that pressure. That comes when you are not doing good. The pressure starts coming in when the numbers projected, or you are much behind the numbers. Then all these things becomes but at that point of time, neither the investor is going to get anything or others are going to get anything. But investors, I don't think they know what they're getting into, and they have the visibility of their exit, how they are going to get it, and they will make it happen. So we, as a founder, I think we should not really think much about their exit. That will happen if it has to happen automatically. Your views, Ankit?
No, I think rightly said. Would just like to add two more thoughts to it. See, eventually exit happens by going public or stuff like IPO. But what happens then? One investor will get an exit, new set of investors will come. You have to build your business fundamentally so strong that your investors don't think of exit. There will always be a path. But if you are doing the right set of things, then exit will be the last thing either we as a founder or the investors will think. Again, in our journey, the investors who've put in money, or I would say put faith on us in our seed round, are still invested with us. Even if we ask them to take an exit, to give an entry to a new investors, they are very, very reluctant because they believe in the business model. So if you're creating something fundamentally very strong, I think exit is the last thing we should think about it.
Hi. So my name is Rashid. I'm co-founder of Gen Robotics. So to Ankit, I have a small question. So in the last 3 years, you have grown like such a huge thing, and exponential growth you have created. So I just want to check. So you were saying that you have more than 1,500 people in your company. So how you manage to coordinate with the people, with the more than 1,500 people? Because right now I'm having more than 200 people in my company, and I know how much it is effort that making behind. So I just want to hear from you how that part is getting done.
So I think again, I would like to answer it in 2-3 parts. One, when you are adding people to your team, filtering has to happen at that leg. One of the most important fit for any people who would be there in the company, that cultural alignment has to be there. The values in your company, if people resonate the same values, then even if you're connected or not connected, they will connect with the value of the company. Okay. But having said that, I think there are various ways on a very, very softer aspects. I would say do more and more town halls, have small committees, have your L1 leaders talk to a bunch of people, and being connected is important because that's one way of channelizing the thought process towards that one common goal. So sending mailers, newsletters, celebrating small things. Like one of the things what we have done in the company, we have divided the whole company, the 1,500 folks, into different groups. And every week there is some activity going on, whether on your desktop, whether some physical activity in office, outside of office. We conduct off-sites, town halls. These are ways of getting connected. So I think consciously we should do this.
Thank you. Yes, sir, definitely.
This question is from Ankit. Ankit, you are talking of sharing of the manufacturing facility. So have you ever thought of sharing of the design facility as well?
Valid question, sir. So primarily we started just as contract manufacturing. That as a customer, you come and give me your design, I will manufacture. I'll take a step back. In fact, we never started like that. We just started as a SaaS company. That we will create a portal which will help customers find right set of suppliers and work with them. After having run that for 6 months, we realized that unless you get into the problem, you cannot solve the problem. That's when we pivoted from a marketplace to a platform where we take orders and we get it executed by being on the ground, having feet on street. Now, the next step is, there is a bunch of customers, I would say tier 2 companies, who don't have that in-house facility of doing the designs of themselves. So we have created a set of team within the company which does this designing work as well. So we even partner with consultants and all, but we have a cell within the company which offers from design to delivery. So that concept is also there in the company today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deshpande, Mr. Fatehpuria, for your truly heartwarming and inspirational stories. May I request Sri Binay Jha to present mementos to both of them? Thank you, sir. So we will now be commencing our final session for the day in just a few minutes. We are waiting for the Honorable Minister of State, Mahua, Sri Kaushal Kishore, to arrive at the venue. But before that, can I request the 30 startups who are seated on my left to proceed to the exhibition area. Once the Honorable Minister of State arrives, he will be taking a tour of the exhibition, and there will also be a group photograph with him, and then we will again reconvene at the venue to start the final felicitation. And meanwhile, for the rest of the attendees, can I please request you to sit, leaving one chair between? Okay, 30 startups, can I please request you to wait for just a minute, please? Just a minute. And for the rest of the attendees, can I request you to sit, leaving one chair alternately, please? COVID protocols in place.
First one, when you welcome, I welcome them all again. And then you continue till the time you ask for the launches. Okay?
So after the French ambassador finishes speaking, then we start the booklet release and launch of the startup gateway. Correct. Yeah.
Sense of if this is only for them, then I'm gone. Should I welcome all of them again? Because you would have welcome. I have to do it again. All of them, huh? Okay. She was really concerned. She was really concerned, and she should have come early, really. Rather than chit-chatting with.
was what was told to me. That was what was told to me, sir. That they will go out to the exhibition area. Minister will come and check the exhibition. No, no. No, no, that's what they are doing. Satish, Satish and Sirisha, they are telling them. Sir? Sirisha, I think they have to be taken out, right? Because secretary has come. Now we'll just have to wait for the minister to come. So they will have to go out. Okay. Okay, okay. Fair enough. Those of you who are seated at the back, we request you to kindly come forward. Yeah, please.
नितेश जी आगे आ जाइए अपने साथ सारे लोग जो आपके साथ हैं सब रिक्वेस्टिंग ऑल ऑफ देम टू कम फॉरवर्ड अंकुश प्लीज आगे आ जाइए
So we will be having the group photograph at the end of the session. Satish? Satish. So we'll be having the group photograph at the end of the session. Minister will be coming, and after we finish the felicitation, then we will be taking them outside for the group photograph. Only thing is they will have to sit in alternate chairs, if you can kindly arrange that one. May I request the 30 startups to sit in alternate seats, please? COVID protocol. You say.
I think they're already doing it. Samantha, you don't need to move, you can stand here. I'll take this and say it from here.
Requesting everybody to please settle down in their seats. Secretary sir has already come and we are expecting the minister any moment now. Kindly sit down. Can I have one chair left in between, please? Who's this guy here? This French person. Sirisha, one chair alternate, please. Please, yeah. One chair alternate, please, if you don't mind. No. Sorry.
No, it's fine, sir. You come on this.
Yeah. Kannur. There, all three. Mayor. Can you please tell them? Can I please request all of you to sit in alternate chairs, please? The people in the middle row. It's not loud now. Just keep it in front of. Where should they reach? Oh, one thing. Please ensure that the 10 startups, top 10, they are right at the front.
We have only certificates for them to give.
Top 10. They have to come first. No, that's what I'm saying. It's irrespective of certificate in the window. Let them sit right in the front.
Okay. But they are having good order. Yes, they have the same order.
Okay. Emmanuel. Emmanuel Linnae. Linnae. The N is not.
Tarun.
Tarun, they're sitting too far, so I think they can sit over here. In fact, alternate. There are 4 seats in between, no? Because by the time they come down from there, okay. From there. Yeah. So don't disturb. Can I also request everyone to kindly keep your mobiles on mute? It is my pleasure to welcome Sri Kaushal Kishore, Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, as chief guest for the session. We also welcome His Excellency Emmanuel Linnaeus, Ambassador of France to India, as guest of honor, Sri Manoj Joshi, Secretary Mahua, and Ms. Rupa Mishra, Joint Secretary and National Mission Director, Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. May I request the dignitaries to take their seats on the dais, please?
हम मंच पर स्वागत करते हैं माननीय श्री कौशल किशोर जी, राज्य मंत्री आवासन एवं शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय। हम स्वागत करते हैं माननीय श्री इमैनुअल लिना, एम्बेसडर ऑफ फ्रांस टू इंडिया, श्री मनोज जोशी, सचिव आवासन एवं शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय, मिस रूपा मिश्रा, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी एंड नेशनल मिशन डायरेक्टर, स्वच्छ भारत मिशन अर्बन।
I would now like to request Ms. Rupa Mishra to present saplings to the dignitaries. Ms. Rupa Mishra, Joint Secretary and National Mission Director, Swachh Bharat Mission Urban, will now be giving her opening remarks and presentation.
Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Shri Kaushal Kishore ji, His Excellency, Ambassador of France to India, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, all participants who are present here, who have connected virtually as well as physically, I welcome each one of you to the much awaited closing ceremony of the Swachh Startup Challenge. Sir, this has been a journey since the month of January 2022, when just after 3 months of the launch of SBMU 2.0, we decided to start this unique collaboration between AFD and Mahua to kind of give a fillip to the startups in the sector of sanitation and waste management. And the journey has been quite unique for more than one reasons. May I please have the presentation? So as everybody is aware, the vision of Swachh Bharat Urban 2.0 is garbage-free cities. And when we say garbage-free cities, of course, the most important aspect that we have to address is scientific management of solid waste and liquid waste that generates from cities. So to bring about partnerships, research, innovation, and collaboration to manage this generation of municipal solid and liquid waste, we decided to trigger innovation from amongst startups. And in this journey of India versus garbage, which is a massive journey, we had some extremely interesting experiences. But before sharing that, I would like to kind of place in context the important aspects which are part of our focus areas. Starting from door-to-door collection, segregation of waste, we aspire that in every city of India, there should be at least one material recovery facility, facilities of managing the dry waste, the wet waste and the dry waste in decentralized manner, capacities of advanced processing like waste to electricity and biomethanation. Very importantly, the old waste that has kind of accumulated in different cities, we also target to have to remediate all those legacy dump sites. With cities increasing and urban space increasing, we are looking to address construction and demolition waste also, functional community and public toilets, our movement to provide occupational safety for our sanitation workers by making the transition from manhole to machine hole, and very importantly also used water management, and all to achieve clean air, clean water, and clean land. I'm happy to share that in this startup challenge, we have witnessed participation from almost all the bigger states and union territories. 23 states and union territories have participated. Some very few states of the Northeast and few others have not been able to participate. And out of the 244 applications that we received, I'm also happy to share that 100 applications were led by women. And out of the 30 shortlisted applications, the final applications that we have 16 to address the source segregation and also to prevent the zero dump, 5 on social inclusion, 4 on plastic waste, and 5 on digital and transparency. The criteria for evaluation was quite stiff. We have evaluated the startups on 5 parameters: uniqueness, robustness, replicability, scalability, social impact, and very importantly, the commercial model and team. At the end of it, we have these 30 startups, and I'm also happy to share out of these 30, we have in 9 startups, women in top leadership. 24 of these startups are not just mere ideas, but they are product ready and in early stages of commercialization. There are 15 startups out of these 30 who are already working and engaged with our city administrations. More than 20 of these startups have already received some kind of government or financial reward. And I'm also happy to share that around 12 of these startups have started exporting. So these are our top 30 startups which have been identified in the Startup Challenge. And today, in the entire day, we tried to put together some very unique engagements. We started the day with something we called as reverse pitching, where municipal commissioners placed before startups the day-to-day challenges of administration when they manage solid waste and used water in the cities, to give them ideas as to what are the real areas where innovative solutions are required. We had Manthan, where we exposed the startups to the policy initiatives that can help for promoting startups for garbage-free cities. After that, we demonstrated a session of Sajedari or partnerships, where we already have collaboration between startups and cities that have worked wonders. Then we have, of course, a networking and a pradarshani, which everybody has enjoyed, and we will take our honorable guests and dignitaries after this session. Sankalp was a session which everybody thoroughly enjoyed, where we had Sunicons present their journey in front of our startups and audience, and everybody engaged in a very interesting discussion about the journey of Sunicons. And the last session which we had was Prerana, where unicorns kind of interacted with our startups, sharing their journey of enterprise and innovation. So these were the activities of the day, and we do not stop here. We move forward from this challenge to a fascinating, I would say, 1 year which we have kept ahead of us, both again with the partnership of AFD and Mahua. We are creating a permanent digital platform in collaboration with IIT Kanpur, so that startups continuously keep showcasing their solutions on this digital platform. We will provide 1 year of funding and incubation support, along, of course, with the prize money that AFD will be giving the top 10 entries, which will be announced shortly. And most importantly, we will promote collaboration with cities, and already around 12 to 15 cities have evinced interest to work with these startups. So this is the way forward. Thank you, everyone, for partnering with us and making this a very successful journey till now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We will now see a short video capturing the journey of the Swachhata Startup Challenge. I now request Secretary Mahua, Sri Manoj Joshi, to address the audience.
आदरणीय राज्य मंत्री श्री कौशल किशोर जी, French Ambassador Rupa Mishra, all the participants in Startup Challenge, friends. The Swachh Bharat campaign in last many years has generated large number of entrepreneurship in the country, making money out of garbage, making money out of waste disposal, starting from collection of waste from the households to segregation, to waste processing, material recovery facilities, making goods or products out of waste, doing remediation of legacy dump sites. When I go to different cities, I see large number of people, enterprises engaged in those businesses, supporting through their businesses local municipal bodies, urban local bodies, and making money out of that. There are self-help groups doing this work, there are private entrepreneurs, there are companies which are providing technology, collaborating with foreign companies in biomethanation. There are people making compost out of wet waste and selling it as a fertilizer. All types of entrepreneurship I see, and there's a large group of entrepreneurs I see here. When I see their products, I was just thinking, Rupa, that I think it may not be a bad idea to start a brand of made from the waste in urban local bodies. We can engage an agency which can do that certification, do the entire finding out whether they have made the product from the waste and doing a proper certification system the way we do it for, say, organic product or any other product. We can do a sort of a certification where they do the traceability and find out that the product is made from the waste and give that certification. I suppose a large number of you are making products and find it quite difficult to sell those products, because finally a product made from the fresh raw material or product made from waste, you need a price premium in market for the product made from waste, and people are willing to pay that premium, but a lot of time certification helps in selling those products. So probably our ministry can fund a certification of that sort with any of the agencies which we select, and it could help a lot of you in selling your products. If it is from a certification agency which government is collaborating and subsidizing certification process in a way, could help a lot of you. We would look forward to collaborating with you, as well as a large number of self-help groups, women entrepreneurs, all types of entrepreneurs throughout the country who are making products from the waste, whether it's a plastic or paper or tires or rubber or any types of products people are making, or say from wet waste making compost or fertilizer. All types of products are made from waste. So we would like to help you in marketing those products and getting a price premium. So we would look forward to working with all of you, and congratulations to all the participants here in coming for the Startup Challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request His Excellency Emmanuel Linay, Ambassador of France to India, to address the audience.
Good evening, Honorable State Minister, Honorable Secretary, and dear friends. It's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight and to witness this Swachhata Startup Challenge 2022. I think it's a great initiative we took together. I was very glad in January when I saw that this prize and competition was taking place. I think that's given the challenges that all our countries and especially India are facing, I think this combination of startup, innovation and technology is really at the core of all issues. And it's really important. Thank you for all the efforts that have been put together by Mauroy, by the ministry, by the French Development Agency, AFD, and I think it's a great initiative. I'm sure it will give ideas to many more such initiatives like this. I think it's a very attractive price, and I know that the 30 startups which have been selected are amazing. I'm going to go through the presentation right after. And I know also that the prize that of 30,000 euros, which will be given to the 10 winners, is going to be a huge incentive to move on and to keep their energy, and also they will benefit from professional support, which will be also key for their development. So I congratulate each of them for their entrepreneurial mind, for their energy, and I'm sure they will inspire a lot. And it's a great partnership between city administrators and start-uppers, and I'm confident that this challenge is going to be year after year more forceful, because the cooperation of waste management, including plastic, is a key stone in the cooperation between France and India. You may have seen that. We have adopted a document, roadmaps, and Prime Minister Modi, President Macron wants to move on this important subject. We want to fight against plastic pollution. We've taken initiative, and thanks to this initiative at the UN, at UNEA, the decision was taken recently to launch negotiations on a legally binding international agreement on plastic pollution, and a very ambitious one, by the way, addressing all the full cycle of life of plastics, and it brings a lot of hope to us. And this is thanks to a good cooperation, among others, between India and France. So thank you again. Thank you to the ministry, and thank you to the participant. I hope that we're going to see many of you on September 27th, where we organize at the French Embassy a seminar on sustainable urban development, with professionals, with companies coming from France, with officials from both countries, and I'm sure it will be also an important moment. So thank you again, congratulations, and keep on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request the dignitaries to formally release a booklet that details out the solutions innovated by the top 30 startups. That booklet. I now request the dignitaries to launch the Startup Gateway for Garbage-Free Cities. We have now come to the moment that we have all been waiting for, the felicitation of the winners of the Startup Challenge. I will be calling out the names in sequence, with the top 10 startups initially, followed by the remaining 20 startups. I would request the representatives of each of the organizations called out to come on stage to receive the felicitation and award. Bintix Waste Research Private Limited.
The core idea of Bintix is to make this recycling very seamless and incentivized for all the households that we work with. This is a tech-driven pickup service where you can recycle every kg of dry waste you produce in the house through Bintix. It's not just the monetary incentive, also non-monetary incentives, like you can also know how many trees you've saved, how many kgs of plastic you've recycled, and every metric associated with recycling. You can get that personally on your dashboard. Every individual household gets a dashboard. Now, the idea is to make sure we avoid as much waste possible as we can and make sure every kg gets recycled.
Cherries Engineering and Innovation India Private Limited.
I'm Rakesh Kasba, a civil engineer. For the last 4.5 years, I have founded the impact startup by the brand name of Jalodbust. It is located in Bangalore. The objective is eradication of manual scavenging through technology. Jalodbust is focused on providing solutions for the wet sanitation. The machines are interface between the sanitation work and the worker. Our front-running piece is Jalodbust Pride, which is a portable machine. It can go inside narrow lanes, inside basements, in the buildings, right from de-choking the choked toilets up to emptying manholes and emptying septic tanks.
Gen Robotic Innovations Private Limited.
Hi, I'm Rashid, co-founder of Gen Robotic Innovations. We are a company focused on robotics and artificial intelligence. The humans are forced to clean the manholes manually. So we created a robot called the Bandicoot. It is the world's first robot for cleaning manholes without any human intervention. So what we done is like we created a robot which have the same flexibility as human. And apart from that, our robot can detect the different poisonous gases inside the manhole. And currently the robots are already implemented across 16 states in India. And more than thousands of workers, sanitation workers, have been rehabilitated to robot operators.
Green Delight Innovations Private Limited.
My name is Gautam, co-founder of Green Delight Innovations Private Limited. We manufacture sanitary napkins and feminine hygiene products in the brand name called Bliss Natural. My partner Niveta, we both started this company, and she is also a menstrual educator, and she is into research on many products development and like adult diapers and other sanitary napkin types, panty liners and maternity pads in the downline. We extracted fiber from that plant, it goes as a waste, and we manufacture the sanitary napkins. It is completely biodegradable, and also it doesn't cause any itching and rashes to the user because it doesn't have any chemicals or plastics in it. We introduced with this program through, and they supported us in all our journey to come here.
Green Jams Build Tech Private Limited.
My name is Tarun Jami and I'm the founder of Green Jams, an award-winning clean tech enterprise. Our flagship innovation, Agrocrete, is the world's first carbon-negative load-bearing block that is made from crop residues such as rice straw, bagasse, cotton stalks, corn stovers, etc. It helps lower cost of construction by 50% and improves the thermal insulation of a building by up to 350%. It is a lighter weight material and as strong as conventional bricks and blocks, where we're creating high quality, affordable and thermally insulating building materials.
Jal Conserve Technologies Private Limited.
My name is Dr. Abhijit Sathe. I represent startup called Jal Sevak Solutions. We deal into a very critical problem, lack of water recycling. We focus on recycling household and commercial grey water for the use of flushing our toilets and gardening. This wastewater can be economically and sustainably recycled and reused on site in a scalable way. We have been working on this solution for last 4 years, and we have now scaled up our solution to cover more than 20 locations across this country.
KNP Arises Green Energy Private Limited.
नमस्कार, क्या आप जानते हैं बहुत से टेस्टी खाने के पीछे की सच्चाई? जैसे ये समोसा बना हुआ है एक फ्रेश तेल के अंदर, और वहीं पे ये समोसा बना हुआ है एक जले हुए तेल के अंदर। इस तेल से होती है बहुत सारी बीमारियां, जैसे हार्ट, कैंसर, अल्जाइमर, पार्किंसंस एंड मेनी मोर। हम इकोऑइल लेके आए हैं एक सही एंड सटीक सॉल्यूशन, जिसके अंतर्गत इस तेल को इकट्ठा करके बनाया जाता है बायोडीजल, जो कि ग्रीन फ्यूल है, और हमारी सरकार भी उसको सपोर्ट करती है। हमारी कंपनी अभी तक 2.5 मिलियन लीटर ऑयल कलेक्ट कर चुकी है, और इसके द्वारा हम लोगों ने 3.5 मिलियन केजी CO2 एमिशंस को एनवायरनमेंट से हटाया है।
Mudita and Radhesh Private Limited.
65% लोग चिकन एज अ फूड खाते हैं। 1 केजी चिकन में 650 ग्राम ही चिकन जो होता है वो खाने के लिए होता है, बाकी सारी चीज़ें वेस्ट हो जाती हैं। तो इस कचरे पे हम लोग काम करते हैं, इसको प्रोसेस करते हैं और इसका रुई बनाते हैं। और ये रुई की क्वालिटी ये है, इससे बना हुआ कपड़ा एक फिंगर रिंग से निकल जाता है। यानी अभी तक देखा जाता था कि पश्मीना सबसे ज़्यादा गर्म है, बट अभी तक ये पश्मीना से 10 गुना ज़्यादा हल्का, सस्ता और गर्म है।
Asar Green Kabadi Private Limited.
Namaste, my name is Anurag Asati, co-founder The Kabadiwala. Through the Kabadiwala app, waste generators like household and businesses can easily sell their recyclables. We ensure social inclusion of informal sector as we empower them through training and workshops and collect waste from them at fair value. We have had more than 1 lakh users recycle over 75,000 metric tons of dry recyclable waste. If this solution is adopted at large scale, it can not only help in transitioning linear economy to circular work, but also reduce greenhouse emission and dependability on virgin material by 28%.
Soltech Design Labs Private Limited.
My name is Aditya Shukla. I am founder and CEO of Soltech Design Labs Private Limited. We create products like block, brick and tiles from our composite metal, which can be used as a replacement to precast product of concrete. Till now, we have recycled around 325 metric tons of overall waste. We envision adoption of our technology and deploying this technology across towns and cities of India. We provide value proposition on the construction product as well, where we are providing sustainable composite metal products as replacement to traditional precast concrete products with affordable price. Our products are factory made and precast with no zero curing requirement, climate positive material with zero cement and water in the material itself, and very low CO2 footprint as well as embodied energy.
These were our top 10 startups. I will now be calling out the names of the remaining 20. Allo eCell Private Limited. Angiras Ind Private Limited. Arc Robotics LLP. Celigo Natural Fibers. Citygen Technology, Ecokari Private Limited, EcoWrap Impact Private Limited, Givol Biofuels Private Limited, Minimines Clean Tech Solutions, Muddle Art Private Limited, Nelica Complete Solutions, Padcare Labs Private Limited, Quality Decor Designs, R-Cube Recycling, Swachh Sustainable Solutions, Recircle, Spruce Up Industries Private Limited, Structure Eco Private Limited, Trash Pack India, Unico Green Earth Private Limited, and finally, Vivoice Labs Private Limited. Can we give all the 30 startups a big hand?
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अब हम माननीय श्री कौशल किशोर जी मंत्री आवासन एवं शहरी कार्य से संबोधन करने के लिए अनुरोध करते हैं।
स्वच्छता स्टार्टअप कॉन्क्लेव में
हमारे बीच में फ्रांस के राजदूत आदरणीय इमैनुएल लेनिन जी, हमारे सेक्रेटरी श्री मनोज जोशी जी, संयुक्त सचिव श्रीमती रूपा मिश्रा जी, हमारे जूरी के सभी सदस्यगण जो ये चयनित किया, इसमें किन लोगों को प्राइज देना है, स्वच्छता स्टार्टअप में भाग लेने वाले सभी सदस्यगण, मंत्रालय के हमारे सभी अधिकारीगण, कर्मचारीगण और अवार्ड के सभी विनर्स, यहाँ पर उपस्थित सभी भाइयों बहनों, मीडिया के साथियों, पत्रकार बंधुओं, स्वच्छता स्टार्टअप कॉन्क्लेव है ये, और इसमें अभी आप देख रहे होंगे कि इसके लिए भारत को स्वच्छ बनाने के लिए आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 3 चीज़ों पर विशेष ध्यान दिया कि हमारा भारत कैसे आगे बढ़ेगा, हिंदुस्तान आगे कैसे बढ़ेगा। उसके लिए यहाँ के लोगों को स्वच्छ हवा चाहिए और पीने का पानी स्वच्छ चाहिए, और ज़मीन भी हमारी, यानी हम जहाँ रहते हैं वो भी पूरी तरीके से क्लीन हो, स्वच्छ हो चाहिए। और इसको मद्देनज़र रखते हुए आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 2014 में जब पार्लियामेंट में पहली बार आए तो उन्होंने भाषण में एक बात कही थी, मेरे डिपार्टमेंट से संबंधित है इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ। उन्होंने कहा हम चाहते हैं कि 2022 तक, अभी 2022 चल रहा है, 2022 तक इस देश के अंतिम व्यक्ति के पास भी अपना निजी आवास हो, उसमें चूल्हा हो जो सुबह शाम जलता हो। आवास के लिए प्रधानमंत्री शहरी और आवासीय योजना लागू की, चूल्हा सुबह शाम जलता हो, उसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री शिशु मुद्रा लोन योजना, स्टैंड अप योजना और स्टार्टअप योजना भी उसी का एक हिस्सा है, लागू किया। लोगों के पास रोजगार होगा, जब रोजगार होगा तो चूल्हा तभी जलेगा। उसके लिए कौशल विकास मंत्रालय का भी गठन किया और हर सुविधाएं देने की नीति बनाने का काम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया। तीसरी बात उन्होंने कही कि उसमें बल्ब हो जो 24 घंटे जलता हो, यानी सभी को बिजली चाहिए। और पूरे देश के अंदर उन गांव में भी जहां बिजली नहीं थी, सौभाग्य योजना के तहत 31 दिसंबर 2018 तक सभी के घरों में बिजली पहुंचा देने का काम किया। और एक बात कही कि उसमें नल हो जो पानी देता हो, स्वच्छ पानी, और उसके लिए अभी जल शक्ति मंत्रालय का गठन किया और पूरे देश के अंदर सन 2024 तक सभी घरों तक पानी की पाइपलाइन बिछा करके शुद्ध पीने का पानी का एक टाइम बाउंड कार्यक्रम तय करने का काम प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किया। तो अभी जो है इसमें जब आप काम कर रहे हैं तो देखिए भी इसके लिए फिर उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये तो पार्लियामेंट में बोला, यानी हमारे लोगों के पास आवास होगा, सभी चीज़ें होंगी, सब कुछ होगा, तब होगा। 15 अगस्त 2014 को लाल किले की प्राचीर से उन्होंने कहा कि महात्मा गांधी जी ने स्वच्छ भारत बनाने की बात की थी, स्वच्छता के लिए वो आंदोलन भी करते थे, और इसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि जो सफाई है होनी चाहिए। और खुद कहा उन्होंने कि मैं अपने हाथ में झाड़ू लेकर के 2 अक्टूबर को निकलूंगा और 2 अक्टूबर को हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने झाड़ू लेकर निकले और फिर इस देश में उस तमाम लोगों की शर्म खत्म हो गई जो लोग कभी घर में भी झाड़ू नहीं लगाते थे। मैं सरकारी दफ्तरों में अक्सर कोने में थूका हुआ मिलता था पान वान, कचहरी में, तहसील में हम लोग जाते थे तो मालूम हुआ कि वकील लोग थूके दिए रहे, सब दीवारें गंदी थी। लेकिन जब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने झाड़ू उठाया तो अब वो सब क्लीन है, क्योंकि गांव का आदमी जाके थूकता नहीं, क्लाइंट नहीं थूकता, ये पढ़े लिखे लोग गंदगी करने का काम कर रहे थे। इसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कितना विजनरी काम किया, आप समझिए कितना अपना पूरा वो लगाया। और एक फिर लोग जो है निकले और लोग झाड़ू लगा लगा करके फोटो खींच खींच करके डालने लगे कि हम भी झाड़ू लगा लेते हैं। भले एक कुछ लोगों ने फैशन में किया हो, लेकिन एक आंदोलन के रूप में खड़ा हुआ और आज बड़े पैमाने पे वो लोग जो कभी सड़क पे थूक देते थे, कोने में थूक देते थे या कुछ भी खाए पिए फेंक दिया, आज लोग डस्टबिन रखने लगे हैं और गंदगी फैलाने में डर लगने लगा है लोगों को। ये प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक विजन है, उसके तहत लोगों ने धीरे धीरे एक आंदोलन का रूप लेने का काम किया। तो इसके लिए जो है कितनी चीज़ों से तमाम ये चीज़ें पैदा होती, कचरा बड़े पैमाने पे पैदा हो रहा है। स्वच्छ भारत मिशन के लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने SBM 10 स्वच्छ भारत मिशन 10 लागू किया। फिर 1 अक्टूबर 2021 को प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वच्छ भारत मिशन 20 लागू किया और उसके लिए कचरा मुक्त शहर बनाने की बात की। और कचरा मुक्त शहर बनाने में तमाम चीज़ें, शहरों में जो तमाम कचरा निकलता है प्लास्टिक का या अन्य चीज़ों का, तो आप अभी तमाम चीज़ें मैं देख रहा था इसमें कि कुछ लोगों ने उस कचरे से ईंट बनाई है जिससे दीवार बन सकती है। कचरे को अच्छी तरीके से ट्रीटमेंट करके एक अच्छा बनाने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो हम अपने देश को, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कितनी चीज़ों से जोड़ा। कचरा मुक्त बनाएंगे तो उस कचरे का जो है हम सही तरीके से उसको फिर से अगर रिसाइकलिंग करके ठीक करेंगे तो ईंट बनाएंगे या किसी और काम में लाएंगे तो कचरा मुक्त शहर भी बनेंगे, लोगों को रोजगार भी मिलेगा। ये मेक इन इंडिया के तहत काम है, भारत को बनाने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री जी। इससे लोगों को रोजगार भी उपलब्ध हो रहा है। इसके लिए जो है मैं फ्रांस को बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि वो हमारे साथ जुड़ करके, हमारे देश के साथ जुड़ करके इसमें जो 244 लोगों ने इसमें अपना एप्लीकेशन देने का काम किया कि हम स्वच्छ भारत के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने अपनी अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी इसमें एप्लीकेशन के जरिए देने का काम किया। उसमें से 30 हमारे जजों ने उसको छांटा स्टार्टअप में, और ऐसे 244 जो स्टार्टअप आपने लागू किए, उन लोगों ने जो एप्लीकेशन दिया 30 उसमें से छांटा, जिसमें से 10 हमारे फ्रांस के एम्बेसडर साहब यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं। उस 10 स्टार्टअप की कंपनियों को 25 लाख रुपए प्रत्येक कंपनी को देने का ऐलान किया है। हम बधाई देते हैं उनके लिए, इसके लिए आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और जो 20 हैं, उन 20 स्टार्टअप की जिन लोगों को चयनित किया गया, जिनको अभी अवार्ड दिया गया यहाँ पे, उन लोगों को हमारी तरफ से, हमारी सरकार की तरफ से उनको 20-20 लाख रुपए का मदद करने का काम किया गया। मैं आपसे इसके लिए अनुरोध करना चाहता हूँ कि देश को बनाने में कितना आपका योगदान है और कितना और आगे योगदान करेंगे। अपनी जगह पे जहाँ काम कर रहे हैं उसको और आगे बढ़ाने का काम करें और ज़्यादा उसको डेवलप करने का काम करें। नई नई टेक्नोलॉजी और जो भी आप ईजाद कर सकते हो, ईजाद करने का काम करो, यानी उनको और डिस्कवरी करने का काम करो। हमें अपने देश को स्वच्छ भी रखना है। जो अभी आप देख रहे होंगे कि ये जो कोरोना का पीरियड आया और जब लॉकडाउन हुआ, उस समय हवाई जहाज नहीं चले, ट्रेनें नहीं चली, बसें नहीं चली, गाड़ियां नहीं चली, फैक्ट्री नहीं चले, दुकानें बंद रही। तो जहाँ से भी हवा हमारी प्रदूषित होती थी, उस समय एकदम से क्लीन हुई हवा। एक ही महीने में पूरा इन्वायरमेंट क्लीन हो गया और बहुत दूर से लोगों को पहाड़ दिखने लगे, ओजोन की परत भर गई। ये जिंदगी के लिए जरूरी है कि ओजोन की परत भरी रहनी चाहिए, ओजोन की परत में छेद नहीं होना चाहिए, इन्वायरमेंट ठीक रहना चाहिए। इसके लिए आप लोग जो अभी कचरा मुक्त और स्वच्छता के लिए जो स्टार्टअप में काम करने का काम कर रहे हो, अभी मेरे पास एक आए थे, हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के पास आते रहते हैं हमारे आदरणीय जो माननीय मंत्री हरदीप पुरी जी हैं, उनके पास भी लोग आते रहते हैं कि वो हम स्मोक फ्री टावर लगाएंगे एक पूरी तरीके से, ऐसे बताते रहते हैं। मगर ये कैसे करेंगे कि जो इन्वायरमेंट में एयर हमारी प्रदूषित हो रही है, हवा जो प्रदूषित हो रही है, उसके लिए भी कुछ ना कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी आप इजाद करने का काम करोगे, करते हैं, आप करेंगे, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है। इसको ज़्यादा पैमाने पे आपको और बढ़ाना है आगे, ताकि स्टार्टअप का और ज़्यादा महत्व बढ़े। आप पढ़े लिखे लोग यहाँ पर बैठे हो, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में चले जाइए, स्टार्टअप का मतलब वो जानते नहीं। अगर किसी से भी ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में हम बताएंगे जाकर के, अब क्योंकि मैं ग्रामीण क्षेत्र का रहने वाला हूँ, जब मैं बचाऊंगा कि वो कूड़े से, कचरे से, प्लास्टिक से एक हल्की और मजबूत ईंट बना देते हैं जिससे बड़ी दीवार मजबूत खड़ी हो सकती है, तो एक बार वो विश्वास करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे, उनसे 20 बार मुझे बताना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उनको इसके बारे में ज्ञान नहीं है कि ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो प्रैक्टिकल वाली प्लास्टिक देखते हैं। तो ये चीज़ों का कितना प्रचार प्रसार आप करते हो। आज बड़े पैमाने पर ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में वो जो भाषा समझते हैं, उनकी भाषा में आपको ये बात बतानी होगी। तो ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में आप जहाँ जिस उसमें रहते हो, जिस प्रदेश में रहते हो, वहाँ की लोकल भाषा क्या है, उस लोकल भाषा में इसका प्रचार ज़्यादा होना चाहिए। ये ध्यान में रखना है आपको कि ताकि छोटा छोटा व्यक्ति जो कम पढ़ा लिखा है, लोकल भाषा जानता, वो भी उसको देख ले, उसको समझ ले आपकी योजना को। हमारी जो योजना है, आपकी जो योजना है, आपने जो इतना बनाया है, इसका जितना प्रचार प्रसार होगा उतना ही ज़्यादा काम बढ़े होगा, लोगों को रोजगार मिलेगा। उनकी भाषा में ये बात करनी है आपको। व्हाट्सएप पे, फेसबुक पे, ट्विटर पे, जिन पर भी, इंस्टाग्राम में, कहीं पर भी मैसेंजर में लिखो तो ऐसे लिखो, आप उनकी भाषा में लिखो। हिंदी भाषी क्षेत्र में हिंदी में लिखने का काम करो। अंग्रेजी हिंदी में दोनों में लिख सकते हो तो अंग्रेजी हिंदी दोनों में लिखो, या लोकल भाषा ले लो, अंग्रेजी हिंदी और वहाँ की लोकल भाषा, 3 भाषा में ट्रांसलेट करके लिख दो। जो पढ़ना चाहे वो पढ़ ले, समझ ले। अगर आप अपनी योजना का विस्तार नहीं कर पाओगे तो सीमित रह जाएगी, नहीं सीमित रह जाएगी, सीमित नहीं रहनी चाहिए। इसका प्रचार प्रसार होना चाहिए। उसके लिए आप लोगों को बुलाएं अपने पास, उनके लिए आप जब बुलाएंगे, बात करेंगे और उनको आमंत्रण देंगे तो आपके साथ जुड़ेंगे और तेजी से लोग जुड़ेंगे। और आपने जो टेक्नोलॉजी का आपने विकास किया है किसी भी काम में, स्वच्छ रोबोट के जरिए पानी को साफ करना, गंदगी को साफ करना, नाली को साफ करना, सीवर की उसको साफ करना, ये जब लोगों को बताएंगे तब। ये तो शहरी क्षेत्र में अभी ज़्यादा है, सीवर वगैरह का ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में नहीं है, लेकिन ये पता होना चाहिए लोगों को, क्योंकि शहर लगातार बढ़ते चले जा रहे हैं। ग्रामीण व्यक्ति शहर की तरफ बड़ी तेजी से आ रहा है। अब ये भी स्थिति है कि बहुत से लोग जो पढ़े लिख रहे हैं वो गांव में भी रहे हैं, शहर में भी रह रहे हैं। तो ये इसका प्रचार प्रसार आप जितना अच्छा तरीके से करेंगे, वो भारत के निर्माण में आप काम कर रहे हैं, मेक इन इंडिया के तहत काम कर रहे हैं। और दूसरा जो प्रधानमंत्री जी का है आत्मनिर्भर भारत, वो आत्मनिर्भर भारत भी बनाने का काम आप कर रहे हैं, उसमें भी आप एक कदम आगे बढ़ने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो अभी देखिए कितना जोर दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने। हमारे देश में तमाम वो चीज़ें जो विदेश से खरीदी जाती थी, अभी 300 प्रोडक्ट ऐसे हैं जो हमारे विदेश से के बजाय हमारे देश में बनने लगे, और उनको अब हम इंपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम अपने देश में बनाने का काम कर रहे हैं। रक्षा सामग्री के तमाम चीज़ें हम अपने देश में बनाने लगे। तो ये भारत के निर्माण के लिए काम करना। क्यों? क्योंकि आपके देश पर सबकी नज़र है, आपके देश पे सब लोगों की नज़र है कि ये इंडिया जो है, भारत एक खुला हुआ क्षेत्र है, चारागाह की तरह, जो जाए वहाँ चल ले, इस तरह का है। वही कारण तो है विदेश की तमाम बनी हुई चीज़ें आपके देश में बिक रही। एक हमारे देश को कंज्यूमर कंट्री बना दिया, मतलब यहाँ केवल ग्राहक रहते हैं, उत्पादक नहीं रहते, ऐसा बना दिया, ऐसा प्रचार कर दिया। और उसी में आप देख रहे होंगे तमाम चीज़ें कि जो विदेश से आकर के हमारे देश में वो इतने बड़े पैमाने पे बिकती हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आत्मनिर्भर भारत इसीलिए कहा, और पिछले 15 अगस्त 2021 को बोला था उन्होंने, वोकल फॉर लोकल। स्थानीय उत्पादक जितना सामान है उसका कितना ज़्यादा हम यूज करेंगे, उन सामानों का हम यूज करें और उसके बारे में इतना प्रचार प्रसार करें। वही जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, प्रचार प्रसार करना है। अपनी जहाँ पर भी रहते हो 3 भाषा में जरूर उसका प्रचार प्रसार करो। आप अंग्रेजी में कर रहे हो उसको भी करो, हिंदी में भी करो, और वहाँ की लोकल भाषा में भी उसका प्रचार प्रसार करो। जितना प्रचार प्रसार करोगे उतने ज़्यादा उन चीज़ों की बिक्री और आपकी मान्यता बढ़ेगी, और वो मान्यता जब बढ़ेगी तो निश्चित तरीके से वोकल फॉर लोकल जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला है, वही लोकल फॉर ग्लोबल बन करके खड़ा हो जाएगा आपकी इस मेहनत की वजह से। इसके लिए काम करना है। तो ये सब ले करके हम अपने देश को बनाने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। देश को कितना आगे बढ़ाने में हमारा योगदान क्या है, वरना तो आप समझ लीजिए कि अपने देश में, हमारे देश को पूरी तरीके से प्रतिभा को नष्ट करना, ये करना, इस तरीके से करना, एक लगातार प्रयास किया जा रहा है। और उसमें बहुत से लोग, इस समय नहीं है मौका, कभी बताएंगे, हम आपसे बात करेंगे इन चीज़ों पे। लेकिन कुल मिलाकर के कहना चाहता हूँ मैं कि कचरा मुक्त भारत बनाना है, उसके लिए आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं। स्वच्छ भारत बनाना है, इसके लिए हमारी सबको कैसे हम एक नज़ीर के रूप में बने, कि जो विश्व गुरु बनाने की बात होती है, विश्व गुरु बनने का मतलब ये है कि हम किन किन चीज़ों में दुनिया को रास्ता दिखाने का काम कर रहे हैं, दुनिया के दूसरे देशों को हम किन किन चीज़ों में बेहतर रास्ता दिखाने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो जैसे कि योगा में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 21 जून को पूरी दुनिया को एक रास्ता दिखा दिया, तो योगा में हम विश्व गुरु हो गए, रास्ता दिखाने वाले। अभी जब कोरोना का पीरियड आया तो उस कोरोना के पीरियड में पीपी किट बनाना और वैक्सीन बनाने में हमारे देश की अग्रणी भूमिका रही, और विश्व स्वास्थ्य संगठन को भी बहुत ना नुकुर करने के बाद अंत में प्रमाणित करना पड़ा, तो उसमें भी हम आगे निकले। दवा देने की क्लोरोक्विन की बात आई तो हमारे देश ने, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने तमाम देशों को वो दवा भेजने का काम किया, तो उसमें भी हम आगे निकले। अब स्वच्छता में भी हम आगे निकले, और स्टार्टअप में भी हम पूरी दुनिया में आगे निकलें। इसके लिए और बढ़ चढ़ करके हम सब लोगों को काम करना है। आप स्टार्टअप से जुड़े हुए लोग, तो जितने लोग भी इसमें प्राइज के विनर रहे हैं, विजेता रहे हैं, मैं उनको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, धन्यवाद देता हूं, आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, उनको अभिनंदन भी करता हूं। जो लोग 244 लोगों ने, जिन लोगों ने इसमें अपने एप्लीकेशन डाली थी, अपनी योजना को बताने का काम किया था, अगर उनका चयन नहीं हो पाया है तो मेरा उनसे आग्रह है कि अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी को और विकसित करने का काम करें। इस बार नहीं तो अगली बार सही, निश्चित तरीके से समय आपका भी आएगा। निराश होने की जरूरत नहीं है, बल्कि और आत्मबल को मजबूत करके, किसी ने कहा ना, उड़ सको तो उड़ो, उड़ नहीं सकते हो तो दौड़ो, दौड़ नहीं सकते हो तो चलो, चल नहीं सकते हो तो रेंगो, मगर चलते रहो, चलते रहो, चलते रहो। तो बढ़ते रहना है आपको, इससे पीछे हटना नहीं है, और ज़्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी को अच्छी तरीके से ईजाद करके स्टार्टअप के तहत जो सुविधाओं की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी हमारी सरकार आपको निश्चित तरीके से उपलब्ध कराने की जरूरत करेगी, पीछे नहीं हटने देगी आपको किसी कीमत पर। इसलिए मैं अपने तमाम उन जजेस को भी बधाई देता हूं, आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, और अपने जो एम्बेसडर साहब हैं मैं इनका भी आभार, फ्रांस के इमैनुअल जी का भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, और जोशी जी का, मनोज जोशी जी का जो अपने हमारे सेक्रेटरी हैं, रूपा जी का मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं, और सभी लोग जो हमारे अधिकारी गण आए हैं, कर्मचारी गण आए हैं, मीडिया के लोग हैं, अवार्ड के विनर्स हैं, सभी लोगों का अभिनंदन करते हुए और इस कार्यक्रम में सबका स्वागत करते हुए एक अच्छे नेक काम के लिए जो आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, भारत के निर्माण में हम आपका जो योगदान है उसकी मैं बधाई देता हूं, और उसके लिए मैं आपका अभिनंदन करता हूं, स्वागत करता हूं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Thank you, sir. I would now request the Director, Swachh Bharat Mission, Shri Binay Jha, to give the vote of thanks.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Minister, Sri Kaushal Kishore, for sparing his valuable time to chair the ceremony. On behalf of Mahua, I thank Government of France, represented by Ambassador, and AFD for supporting us in this endeavor of making the Startup Challenge a success. We are thankful to our Secretary Mahua, Sri Manoj Joshi sir, for being a constant source of support and inspiration. I would like to express our thanks to Ms. Rupa Mishra, National Mission Director, whose leadership is enabling us to look forward a promising future. First of all, I thank all the speakers and unicorns who have shared their journey and made all the sessions very lively, very interesting. This challenge and this conclave would not have been possible without the dedicated efforts put in by our partners, especially the Incubation Center IIT Kanpur, all our esteemed jury members, Wilgrow Systems, Akhya Communication, Pavilion and Interiors, Basil, Fusion, Yellow House, Projection System, etc. My heartfelt thanks goes to each and every one of them. Of course, our biggest thanks have to be reserved for the 244 startups who have shown courage to participate in the Startup Challenge and reaffirmed their commitment to partner in India's journey to garbage-free status. My thanks are due to all the Principal Secretary Urban Developments, State Mission Director, Municipal Commissioners, and each and every officers who have attended these sessions throughout the day, either personally or virtually, and all of them who are spearheading the Swachhata revolution in this country. Last but not the least, my thanks go to them here at the ministry, which includes all our senior officers, staff members of SBM Division, CPHEO, along with the members of the National Program Management Unit. We are also thankful to the press and media who have constantly supported us and kept us on our toes and encouraged us continuously to improve our performance. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We have now come to the end of the day's proceedings. I would like to invite all of you to join us for the networking high tea. Before that, I would like to invite the 30 selected startups to go with the Honorable Minister to the exhibition area, where the Minister will be taking a short trip around the exhibition and also have a group photograph with all of you. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being with us throughout the day. And I request you to join us for the networking high tea after that. chalo, let's sit. I'll just, give me 1 minute, I'll just pack up and then I'll just think. Over, na? Everything is being captured. Wonderful. Wait, that is what. Hey? Arrange to you know, I know, never forget, so I decided to wear it today itself. Sure, okay.